Rumbling. The two collided instantly. The ground exploded, and the rubble flew around, knocking Lucy and Natsu over several times on the ground. I was actually suppressed. Blue Note couldn't believe it. What? At this time, a strong wind was felt beside him, and a huge fist came towards him. Damn it. Blue Note cursed inwardly and raised its arms to resist. But in an instant, a mighty force was transmitted from that fist, instantly knocking Blue Note's body flying again. Hey. Gear DOS, this guy is obviously my prey. Why do you want to steal the head? Dieter walked to Gear DOS's side and said angrily. Ha ha ha. Gear DOS smiled embarrassedly and scratched his head. It seems to be good to leave it to you, I'm sorry. He also clearly saw Dieter's strength. There seems to be no problem dealing with this Blue Note, but if you grab it, you will grab it. What else can you do? This guy. Blue Note rubbed his arms and looked at Dieter in shock. It was indeed suppressed again. That power is really not ordinary. Let's join forces and destroy the enemy. Gear DOS came up with an idea, patted Dieter's shoulder and rushed towards the enemy first. Dieter grinned at this. Why? But he still covered his arm with the armed color, and then blue. The body becomes a different look. Fourth gear. Dieter and Gear DOS are killing Blue Note strongly. The people behind Natsu were dumbfounded. Just kidding. Well, Brother Dieter actually joined forces with Uncle Gear. Is this enemy so strong? Where is the alliance? It is obviously bullying. I really want to join. Don't worry, Lucy. Dieter and Gear DOS have both beaten that guy. The two of them joined forces to bully people on purpose. Let's get out now. Several people pulled Natsu, who was about to move, to leave here. And here. Dieter punched Tribal not out again. This exam is an important life event for them. The children put an unimaginable amount of affection into this, and they all made up their minds in order to take a step into the future, but they were trampled on by you bastards. Gear DOS also continued. Rubber King Gun. The fist roared out. Dieter came to Blue Note, using the system, and made a powerful move. Boom. Yeah. Blue Note was hit by a punch, and the body suddenly made a loud noise as if it fell apart. A punch even embedded his body into the ground. The ground on the scene was like a cobweb formed by giant spiders, and terrifying cracks spread in all directions. That Blue Note has run out of fuel. Under the cooperation of Dieter and Gear DOS, Blue Note is not enough for two people to fight, and everyone's attack is quite heavy. Almost every move can bring terrifying damage. As the remaining price for disturbing me to kill the 7 family members, I will end you. Dieter stood in front of Blue Note. Muttering to himself, he raised his palm and aimed at his body to release the armored color flow glue, which instantly shattered Blue Note's internal organs and beat him to death in front of his eyes. End the fight. Since this is over, let's hurry up and deal with President Grimoire Hart. See that the enemy has stopped moving. Gear DOS looked at Dieter and suggested that the strongest person is to deal with the other party's president. Dieter shook his head. Walk up to Gear DOS and say, Gear DOS, do you know Kana? Gear DOS nodded. I know, very cute girl, but when she grows up, she is a little bit addicted to alcohol, but in general, it's okay. Dieter's mouth twitched. Do you know who her mother is? Gear DOS was puzzled and didn't understand why Dieter said this. Her mother's name is Cornicia, Dieter said. Gear DOS's brows were even more together, and he always felt that the name was a bit familiar. Can't you remember that Cornicia was one of your women? Dieter grumbled. La la la. Gear Daston showed a sudden realization, nodding in agreement. Yes, 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 there is such a beautiful woman. Dieter. So clear, Gear DOS, haven't you heard it yet? He was also speechless and complained. So, Kana is your daughter, don't you realize that Kana is very special to you? Especially when you know that you are the strongest wizard in the guild, you are more towards S rank. The sorcerer is very persistent. Gear DOS stared at Dieter with wide eyes, and seemed to have some affection. You mean, Kana is Cornicia and my child? Gear DOS couldn't believe it. Dieter nodded. You don't know that you haven't been in the guild all the time. In fact, Kana said before that she would become an S-class mage before she would recognize you, but she didn't expect so many years to pass. She works very hard every year, but it's a pity. Gear Darth Love. The brain keeps recalling unique words, and it keeps comparing Cornicia and Kana. It sure looks very similar. Okay, that's it. As a companion I hope you can't even say her mother's name when Kana arrives. Dieter waved and turned away. After being silent for a few seconds, Gear DOS immediately rushed towards where Natsu and the others left. Dieter walked into the woods, combing through the remaining enemies. President Hades? That guy should be the intermediary for Lagusis to rejoin the guild. He can't move. Then go to Ultir. Speaking of which, Galuna Island may have been gone for a long time after a quick farewell. After screening out opponents one by one, Dieter directly used the sight color to find Ultir and rushed over there. Looking at the time, the black dragon Akuro Nokia should appear soon. I knew it was so. In a clearing, Gray rescued from Ultir Juvia looked at her and said. Ultir smiled and replied, "Oh, that's surprising. When did you find out?" "I didn't believe what you said in the first place," Gray said. Ultir smiled. "So, you pretend to believe me, but you want to discover my true intentions. What a bad boy." After Gray placed Juvia, stand up against Ultir and Merity. Ultir recounted. "I actually don't want to fight you, because you are that woman's beloved disciple, right? This makes me can't help but choose the most brutal method of killing. And you seem to have a big misunderstanding. I am the leader of the Seven Kin of Purgatory, and your level is not my opponent at all." Gray took off his jacket, ready to attack Ultir. "Do not move." Dieter suddenly appeared. He appeared next to Merity, and directly reached out to lock Merity's throat, ready to crush at any time. "Merity!" Ultir exclaimed quickly. Merity was also alerted immediately. She didn't realize when this person appeared beside her. "Ulu." Merity called softly, but didn't dare to move. "Dieter, are you here?" Gray also avoided the edge for a while, and instead supported Juvia to retreat to the safety zone. Dieter grabbed Merity by the throat and said to Ultir, "You must not move, or this little girl will be the fifth Seven Kin of Purgatory to die at my hands. Oh no, your Vice President Bluenote is also dead in my hands. In other words, the entire Grimoire Heart is left with you, her and your guild leader, and the others are either dead or defeated. Excited to think I'm going to kill you all." Dieter showed an innocent smile, and his eyes were full of excitement. How could it be possible? Bluenote, how could he be? Ultir naturally didn't believe it. Seven Kin of Purgatory killed 4 of them, and even Bluenote died in his hands. This guy's intention to kill is a bit too heavy. "So now do you hand over Zarif or do you want me to kill this girl?" Dieter asked with a smile. Ultir's eyes faltered, resting on Merity for a moment. She smiled and said, you kill, yesterday." Ultir wasn't finished yet. "I saw Dieter grab Merity by the throat and kill her." Ultir's eyes widened, looking at Merity who was already dead on the ground, stunned, and looked at the corpse in disbelief. Seven Kin of Purgatory, 1 left. Dieter looked at Ultir and walked over, saying as he walked, "Then how are you going to die, Ultir?" "You." Ultir's face changed dramatically. The brain was still stuck in the picture of Dieter killing Merity just now. "Can't let go. He actually said he was killed." Gray next to him hesitated, trying to make Dieter show mercy. Cut. Dieter used the move, and instantly came behind Ultir. He reached out and grabbed the back of her neck. "Then you die too." Taste. Ultir's head tilted, his body paralyzed in Dieter's hands. Gray stared in disbelief. Dieter, disapprovingly, helped Ultir to Merity's side. He reached out and twisted a few times around Merity's neck. I saw that Merity, who had already died, moved his eyelids a few times and then slowly woke up. And when she saw Ultir, she was short of breath. "Demon, Heartmaster will be dead in no time. Now you either leave with Ultir or I really kill you." Dieter handed Ultir to Merity to speak to her. Merity quickly felt Ultir's pulse, and only after realizing that he was in a coma, did he look strangely unique, not knowing what he was going to do, why he let them go. "Don't ask. It is willful to ask." Dieter waved his hand impatiently, banishing Merity. Merity didn't ask what to do, but she could only credit something she didn't know about when she fainted. Change and help Ultir walk towards the coast opposite the Grimoire Heart Guild. People go. It was only then that Dieter noticed Gray's odd look. "How do you think Ultir looks?" Dieter asked. Gray thought for a while and said, "It looks good, but it's a pity that the figure is a bit small." Dieter rolled his eyes and scolded angrily. "You know shit, a little kid like you doesn't understand the comfort of that kind of body at all, and only looks for a lady like Juvia who doesn't understand anything." Gray suddenly blushed. He retorted sharply, "You are the brat, I have nothing to do with Juvia, don't talk nonsense." "Ah." Dieter didn't smile, sarcastically. "Brother is no longer a boy, you are already a man, and you are still a little boy. How old you are? You are still a baby, shame, ah." You. Gray blushed and tried to find something to rebut. Dieter said with a wicked smile, Actually, the most beautiful side of a woman is often in the bridal chamber. Don't miss this opportunity, boy. Gray grinned. But he couldn't tell Dieter no matter what, so he could only curse inwardly. Let's go. The president and the others have gathered. I am afraid that's Sirius Island. Dieter stopped joking. He patted Gray on the shoulder and led the way forward. Zerf doesn't care. Gray was busy asking. The Zerif that fell on the ground was a hidden danger after all, and it would be dangerous if it was not dealt with now. Don't worry. Grimoire Heart will be dead in no time, and it's too late to deal with Zerif. Dieter waved. See here. Gray had no choice but to support Juvia to follow, and felt Juvia's body go soft when he was supporting him, and he couldn't help thinking of Dieter's previous words. Somewhat curious. Rumble. A powerful magic power rose up in the distance. Both Dieter and Gray looked over. What a powerful magic. Gray looked over there in amazement, and felt timid. This magic power could be so powerful. Should be Hades and Erza fighting. Dieter thought about it a little and understood, and after speaking to Gray, he quickly rushed over there. When Dieter and Gray came here, in addition to a mess, there was only Hades lying on the ground. Kiss. It looks like you guys are doing well. You actually beat Hades. It's a bit amazing. Dieter lost his voice when he saw that the battle was over. Everyone smiles when they see Gray and Dieter. The dark clouds in the sky also disappear at any time. The bright red sun rose slowly from the sea in the east. Everyone fell to the ground exhausted and looked at the dawn sky. In the distance, Happy, Sha Lulu, and Pang Salili ran towards this side, and were chased by a group of people behind them. Wow. Help. Happy, they kept calling, and ran towards the unique side quickly. The group of people were chasing and shouting at the same time. Stop for me. Smelly cats. How dare you break the president's heart? Kill them. The group of people ran aggressively, and the weapons in their hands were about to kill the three happy cats. Behind Dieter et al., President Makarov and the wounded also came out. Leave this island for me now. Makarov scolded. The group of people turned around and ran, not daring to continue chasing and killing the three happy cats. None of them could beat Makarov. Makarov walked forward, saw Lagoses next to him, and said, "Just come back." Immediately afterward, he yelled at Lagoses. "Do you think I'm going to say that? You are an idiot. You are now in the period of expulsion from the guild, and you dare to set foot on this Sirius Island." Saying that, he's going to beat Lagoses. Dieter hurriedly grabbed Chairman Makarov's body so that he could continue the performance. Let's rest at the camp first. While pulling Makarov, Dieter also instructed everyone. Everyone after a tiring day now needs a rest. Have a look inside the camp. A group of people are resting here, and whoever has nothing to do is probably only Dieter. Noisy, Natsu. Could you sleep peacefully? Hey, you're not hurt, Lily. You're finally back, Lagoses. Lagoses, Elfman did something bad to me while you were away, avenge me. Don't talk nonsense. The camp was noisy. Dieter leaned against the boulder and looked up at the sky. Soon. The black dragon Akironoka is about to appear. Softer. Saddle. A strange sound resounded through Sirius Island. Gear Dustin, who was reminiscing with Kana on the island, widened his eyes and stared at the sky with a numb scalp. This feeling. Come on Kana, everyone in the guild is in danger. Gear Das shouted to Kana, and immediately pulled her towards the camp and rushed over. And the camp is now. Everyone also felt the strange sound. Very noisy. This voice. What's with this sound? Everyone didn't know why, but they all stood up from the ground and looked around to find the source of the sound. It's the dragon's cry, Wendy said suddenly. All of a sudden, everyone looked at Wendy in disbelief with cold sweat on their foreheads. At this time, Gear Das also rushed out of the island. Everyone be careful, that guy is that. Roar. The dragon roared. Everyone uncovered their ears in pain and looked up at the sky. There is a dragon in the blue sky, and the dark wings have strange patterns. What is that? What exactly is going on? Seriously. Sure enough, dragon is still alive in this world. Everyone was a little panicked in the discussion, and it could be seen that their faces were not very good. And Dieter recounted. This is the black dragon from the Book of Revelation, Akironisha. Natsu yells. Hey! Do you know where Igunil is now? And Grandini and Metallicana. Shut up, Natsu. Gear Das immediately reprimanded. Air. The black dragon Akronoka swooped down from the sky. Boom. After the loud noise, Akironoka fell to the ground, and the gust of wind overturned all the branches. Shatter that rubble. The mud splashed, and the wind blew the face aching. Roar. The dragon roared loudly, and a Kuronokia attacked and killed everyone. Boom. The powerful destructive force affected everyone, and the rocks splashed by the force hit everyone without a chance to fight back. Everyone fled. Is that a lie? What an amazing destructive power. What the hell is this? What is this guy doing? Escape back to the boat. Compared with dragons, they are so insignificant. All confessed to trying to escape. The destructive power of a Kuronisha made everyone not even have the energy to escape, and could only be played around. Sudden. President Makarov stood up. Standing in front of all the members, he ordered, quickly run back to the boat. As he said that his body became extremely huge, he wanted to cover everyone from fleeing. Too messy. Can't win. President, please stop. Everyone advises. Seeing that Makarov and Akollonoya had collided, they were all crazy, raising their sleeves and preparing to fight the black dragon Akollonoya to the death. Can't you just listen at the last minute, you bastards? Makarov snarled. There were tears in everyone's eyes, and they wanted to help. Come on. At this time, Dieter roared and rushed towards the black dragon Akollonoya. The others gritted their teeth at this. All of them worked hard to attack the black dragon Akollonoya. No matter how insignificant the attack was, they dared to resist. Dieter. You guys. Chairman Makarov looked at the uniqueness of taking the lead. The old man also blames me. I have always been yearning for dragons, and I simply want to try my skills. As for the others, I don't know why. But how could they leave an old thing and run away by themselves? That's someone from your guild. Dieter said. Instantly entered the fourth gear and rushed towards Akollonoya. Attack after attack. That fist landed on Akollonoya didn't do anything at all. Wow. This black dragon is really rough and fleshy, and a full blow is like scratching a tick. I thought that my strength now is enough to compete with the black dragon. Now it seems that I overestimate myself. Dieter was a little uncomfortable. He had always thought that now his strength could compete with Zarif and Black Dragon. It turned out to be useless at all. What a shame to throw it home. Akollonoya roared away everyone and flew into the air. Dieter sucked in a breath, and his body moved quickly to catch Mirajane and Erza, and the force that flew out was quite strong. Fortunately, Dieter could stand it. It's a pity that the strength is still a bit far behind. In the air. The black dragon Akollonoya opened his mouth wide and aimed at the entire Sirius Island. No, it's a roar. It doesn't want to wipe out the entire island. How come? Everyone was terrified. Looking at the black dragon that covered the sky and the sun, the breath of despair rose from the bottom of my heart. Erza immediately commanded. Those who can use defensive magic will cast magic with all their might. Freed over there was very remorseful. There's no time to write spells. There are many other defensive magics in word magic. As expected of Levi. Levi and the others immediately thought of a plan, intending to use word magic to resist this attack. Everyone, hit the magic on Freed and the others. Hold hands. Let's all unite. Let him see the bonds of our guild. We must not end up in a place like this. Never give up. Let's go back together, go back to fairy tale. Hand in hand, all the members stood in a circle, closed their eyes and prayed. The roar of the black dragon Akollonoya spit out loudly. That black beam of light fell like the annihilation of the world. A huge explosion covered the entire Sirius Island. The aftermath of the explosion set off a tsunami, and the turbulent seawater swept around, and the seawater surged. Sirius Island completely disappeared from sight. On the sea not far away. Ultir woke up from his stupor and muttered when he saw Meredy, "Is this hell? I'm coming down to join Meredy too?" Meredy smiled and shook his head. "No, we are still alive and have left Sirius Island now." Ultir said strangely. "Aren't you dead?" Meredy said, "No, Dieter just knocked me out and knocked out Ulu, so let me take you away." Ultir was silent. Dieter. Recalling this person, she vaguely remembered that when she was on Galuna Island, she seemed to have said that she would. What about the others? Where is this place? Ultir looked at the rough water and wondered where he was at the moment. Meredy remained silent, waited for a few seconds, and said, "This is near Sirius Island, he should be dead. The whole island was completely smashed by the black dragon Akollonoya, he can't survive." Looking at the empty sea, Ultir couldn't help remembering Dieter's face. Take a deep breath. We both owe him a life. On December 16, X784, Sirius Island was destroyed by Akollonoya. Akalonoya disappeared again, and after that, although a 6-month-long survey of the nearby waters was conducted, survivors were found. And just like that, 7 years passed by. Year X 791. Sirius Island. Ding. System upgrade completed. Enter the second stage. Ding. Hello Master. I'm your system assistant. Just call me, Little Cute. Take care of me in the future. There is a very cute voice in my head nagging from time to time. Wake up the sleeping Dieter. It's a pity that even after waking up, Dieter can't move his body and open his eyes to speak. He can only use his brain to keep himself awake. After a while, I went to communicate with the system in my mind. Little Cute. Has the system become a voice assistant after the system upgrade? What is the difference between you after the update? Let's talk about it. Hello Master. After the system upgrade, I have this little cutie, which can help the Master to sign in, add skills, and chat with you. The little cutie in my mind spoke very sweetly. Dieter is speechless. To put it bluntly, is one more artificial intelligence speaking? The system is still broken as always. Then you can help me sign in the future. Dieter gave little cutie an order with his mind. The little cutie immediately agreed. Okay Master, sign in now, and the sign in location is Sirius Island in 7 years. Get a chance to draw a lottery. Do you want to use it? Lottery? Dieter was a little surprised. Isn't the current system not as simple as Cute said? Smack smack, smack right away. Dieter ordered. Xiao Kawai agreed. Okay. This time, the ability of the devil fruit in the pirate world will be extracted, with a 58% chance for superhuman abilities, a 32% chance for natural abilities, and a 10% chance for animal abilities. Please wait. Probability? Dieter was surprised. He didn't expect the upgraded system to have such a probability. But why is it superhuman again? The rubber fruit ability he has now is superhuman. It can't be said that it is not strong, but he always feels that the force is not high enough, and he quite wants to draw an element-type ability such as nature. Ding. Congratulations to the Master for winning the superhuman-type shock fruit ability, and a friendly reminder, the upgraded system, the devil fruit ability eaten by the Master is not afraid of seawater. The little cute voice will sound soon, immediately. Dieter's heart was beating wildly with excitement. He couldn't believe his auditory nerves. It turned out to be the shock fruit of the strongest superhuman type. My mom, come again, Hailong, I must fight with you for 3 days and 3 nights. Cowhide cowhide. Dieter is very happy. This time his true combat power will definitely be able to fight against the black dragon. Shake the fruit leather to cause a tsunami, shatter the air. It is also possible to destroy an island. And due to the difference between the two worlds, the abilities of all pirate worlds have been further strengthened. The power will increase a lot. Then do I need to continue to sign in to other places to increase the level? Dieter asked hurriedly. The little cute replied. It's not noisy. The current system rewards skill points with rich boundaries. For example, winning the game, ending the plot, and defeating the strong can all be rewarded with different skill points. The minimum is 1 point, and the maximum is 100 points. Cow wow. Dieter really feels admiration. Today's system is really rich. This way his system won't be so slow to upgrade, so it's really great to have so many places to check in. Rumbling. Just then, Dieter felt a frantic vibration. He found that he can already perceive the external environment. Sirius Island, which was wrapped by the ferry ball, slowly appeared, and the ship in the distance also docked, and some people landed on the island. Are you going to come out? I didn't expect it to be 7 years in the blink of an eye. Dieter sighed. In fact, if he wants to escape, he can escape, but as long as he thinks that he will be old in 7 years, he suddenly does not want to escape. Who knows if he will be so handsome when he is old? Just take a nap. Dieter, Dieter. Someone was calling him. Dieter tried to open his eyes, and soon light slowly appeared, and Dieter opened it again after a long time of relief. It's all there. Why are you here? Dieter pretended not to know, so he got up from the ground and looked at a few people not far away. Soon everyone was woken up. By the way, who are you? Someone looked suspiciously at the little girl on the stone not far away and asked curiously. Dieter looked too. My name is Mavis Vermilion, the first-generation president of Fairy Tale, Mavis said. At that time, I transformed all of your bonds and trust into magic power, and your beliefs activated one of the 3 magics of the fairies. Fairy Ball. This magic can protect the guild from all evils. It is absolutely defense magic. But it took 7 years to lift everyone's frozen seal. Mavis tells the whole process. Makarov was moved. I didn't expect. The first generation guarded us. Mavis shook his head. No, I'm just a ghost. I can only convert everyone's power into magic at best. It was your unshakable faith and strong bond that created the miracle. You have made the guild great, the third generation guild leader. Inside the fairy tale guild. Romeo. You don't go with them, is it really okay? Macau asked her child. Romeo sat at the table and looked at the magic book in his hand, and said, even if they find Sirius Island, they can't be sure, everyone's life and death. Macau immediately said, how can it be? Believe them, believe they are still alive. But there was no news for 7 years, Romeo said. Hey, there are very few people here today. It's better to change the name than to say it's a guild? Ha ha ha. A group of people walked in from the outside, and they mocked with impunity. Tipo, didn't you agree to pay next month? Macau said. Thibaut refused. Our president said it, but this is not acceptable. He said that it would be very troublesome not to pay back the money on time. Since the president has spoken, there is nothing we can do. Romeo got up from his seat. Angrily reprimanded this group of people. We will not give money to people like you. Dad and everyone who obey this kind of guy are cowards. I want to fight. Going on like this is too bad for fairy tale's reputation. Peeved. Thibaut replied with a smile, your reputation has been damaged long ago. Saying that, he took out a huge mace from behind and punched Romeo. Pung. Sudden. Someone came in from behind and took Thibaut out with one kick. Bang 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 bang. There was a flurry of chickens and dogs, and everyone who came to the fairy tale guild to make troubles was released. We are back. How did the guild become so small? Drink. Drink. The people in the guild couldn't believe it, and tears welled up in their eyes. Calling Natsu et al. You are finally back. The guild resumed its usual liveliness again. Everyone cheered and laughed, raised the glass and pushed the glass for a change, venting the joy after the reunion. Dieter smiled and found a place to sit. Close your eyes and feel the power of shaking the fruit in your body. 7 years have passed, and the current situation of the guild seems to be not good. I am afraid that it is not the first Fury Guild. Who is the first guild now? Over there, Gray, Lucy Natsu, and others sat and chatted. The tiger that bites the sword. Previously, Blue Pegasus and the Scales of Snake Princess had always looked down on it, but now it has become the strongest wizard guild in the Kingdom of Fury. Romeo speaks to Natsu and the others. Gray was stunned and complained, I've never heard of such a guild. Alzak helps explain. It wasn't famous 7 years ago. In other words, it has grown up suddenly in the past 7 years, Gray said. The strength of a guild that has never been known can grow into the strongest wizard guild in just 7 years. The opportunity to become stronger should be that the president of the guild found 5 exceptionally powerful mages. The guild's max was talking about the turning point when the swordbite tiger became stronger. Lucy Yi. Only 5 people can be that strong. Late? Feeling good. Natsu started to move. At this time, Wendy looked at Romeo curiously and asked, then where is our guild ranking? After hearing the questioning, the Alzaks and Romeo were embarrassed. It's number 1. Super weak guild. The first weak guild of Faioli. Immediately, Wendy and others were extremely embarrassed. No one thought that the strongest would suddenly become the weakest. Boom. Natsu jumped on the table and said excitedly, wow ha ha ha, not bad, so interesting. Gray looked at him speechlessly. Natsu said excitedly, this is a very rare opportunity to reach the sky in one step. I'm burning. Everyone in the guild laughed. At this time, Max quickly said, Natsu, calm down, the 7-year gap is no longer what it used to be, and now you can't even beat me. Shock. Wendy Gray et al. Are a little weird. I think Max is a little too arrogant to say this. Nani? Natsu retorted, really? Max said disapprovingly, in the past 7 years, we haven't been idle, and we are also exercising our mouths. Before the table. Dieter returned to his senses, swept over the conversation over there and stepped forward. Max should be a peer of the same age. Come out, my brother will teach you how to be a man today, and let you know that 7 years later, the big brother is still the big brother, Dieter said. Immediately Lucy and Erza and the others all widened their eyes. Okay. Max was on the move, excited at the thought of potentially overpowering Dieter. Go outside immediately. Everyone in the guild was eager to try, and one by one came to the open space outside the guild. I'll come first. Natsu immediately came out to learn from Max. Dieter looked over. At this time, Gray promptly said, Dieter, don't come forward, Even if you sleep for 100 years, you can't lose to Max. Let's do it. Lucy nodded in agreement. The existence of such level as Dieter's brother Gear and uncle and Lagos's may have no effect on sleeping for 7 years. Max and the few people who stayed behind in the guild were a little stunned. He quickly felt that what he said was very reasonable, and immediately agreed. Well, I think it is too. Fighting or something is too hurtful, brother Dieter. Don't fight. I and Natsu can learn from each other. Roll your eyes. Several people in Nabu were speechless to Max. I didn't expect this guy to be so shameless. He was just about to make a move just now, and now it's a shame. If Dieter wants to try his hand, I can help you. Erza smiled and walked to Dieter's side, talking to him, obviously willing to discuss with Dieter. Ah, don't, I will feel bad if I hurt you. Dieter was torn between accepting or rejecting. Discuss with Max. It's not a big deal to hurt him, but if you get hurt with Erza, you'll be reluctant. The ability to shake the fruit is very powerful. Or don't use it on your own people. If you don't control it well, it will not be easy to solve. I'm on fire. There. Natsu and Max quickly got together. The two fought back and forth, but this scene made Gray and others feel extremely heavy. It's unbelievable that Max actually suppressed Natsu. Could we win Natsu too? The gap is too big. The battle continued, and Natsu continued to explode his strength. Although he finally defeated Max, Natsu also ran out of magic and fell to the ground. Gray said solemnly, the problem now is more serious than we thought. Monsters like Dieter and Gear and Lagos's are fine, but our power is completely out of step with the times. Everyone realizes the seriousness of the problem. It is not so easy to keep up with this era. Dieter nodded at their words, feeling very right, although his strength was still invincible. But Natsu and they are really not enough to watch. The 7-year blank period has made us lose a lot of things, and it is not easy to get them back. Erza sighed. Dieter nodded thoughtfully and followed Erza's footsteps back into the guild. After entering the guild, at this moment, President Makarov is announcing a major decision. So, the old man has decided to retire. Next, I will introduce the next president, Makarov announced. Dieter found a place to sit down and watch silently. The 5th generation, the president of Fairy Tale is Gear Clive. Dang dang. Mirajane walked in from the side room and greeted everyone with a smile. Gear where did you go? Makarov asked. Mila took a letter out of her body and handed it to Makarov. He left a letter. Makarov felt bad. He took out the envelope and started to check. As for the president in the whole guild to be the president, to be honest, I'm not that material, but if a man has the chance, I will do 2 things as the 5th generation president. The first, allows Laxus to become a member of Fairy Tale. Below. Lagos's was stunned. He couldn't help lowering his head, and he didn't seem to expect that Gear would have such an arrangement. How dare you make your own decisions? Makarov was angry, his tone changed. Well, since the 5th generation said so, they can only obey. Many people laughed tacitly. Second, appoint Makarov as the 6th generation Fairy Tale president. Ha 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 ha. Everyone in the guild laughed, and they didn't expect to turn around or Makarov to be the guild leader. Fairy Tale is my home, and I will definitely come back. By that time, I hope, Fairy Tale will already be the #1 guild in the Kingdom of Fury, but that's not my mission, it's your mission. President, this is your last job, turn Fairy Tale into Fury #1 again. The content of the letter ends here. Makarov was silent, and suddenly burst into a roar. You bastard. He actually said the last one. Since that's the case, I won't give up the position of the president. I want to die. Wine. Bring wine. Everyone in the guild leaked a knowing smile. Dieter yawned and counted the time with his legs crossed. Gear that guy. What did you say, Fury First Guild? It's just a distant dream. Time has changed. Countless people are bad-mouthing, although they have confidence in Erza and others. But 7 years is not so easy to make up for it. It is quite difficult to become #1 in Fury, and it is impossible to achieve in a short time. There is only one way to quickly become #1. Sudden. Romeo popped out and told everyone in the serious group in the guild. When it was necessary, Macau, Naboo, and the others were so frightened that they hurriedly stopped it, not to let Romeo continue talking. This reaction made the people in the serious group even more curious. The 6th generation president Makarov asked the 4th generation curiously, that? Which one is it? The 4th generation. Macau immediately retorted. No way. Didn't you say that? You absolutely can't participate in that. Is in trouble. 6 generations, don't call me that? Erza was curious. Mirajane was curious. The people in the serious group heard what everyone refuted and hadn't said yet, and were even more curious about what they were talking about. Macau and Romeo and a group of people who stayed behind the guild immediately quarreled. No one is willing to agree to the words of the place. We are back. Natsu and other people walked in from outside, and it was not clear why they heard the noise in the guild. What are you talking about in a mess? Natsu asked curiously. Romeo immediately explained. While Natsu-san and you guys were away, Fiore started a festival to decide the strongest guild. At that time, all Fiore's guilds will gather and start a magic competition, which is called the Great Demon Fighting and Martial Arts. In an instant, everyone in the serious group had gold stars in their eyes. Very curious about this festival, it seems interesting. That's it, if it wins there, Fairy Tail will be #1 in Fiore. Everyone was very excited. Makarov said hesitantly, but can you win with your current strength? Macau seconded. That's it. Romeo immediately spoke. If you win, you will get a bonus of 30 million J. Join. Makarov immediately changed his mind and decided to participate. I'm on fire. When does that match start? Natsu asked. Romeo replied. 3 months later. Natsu immediately clenched his fists and said, that's enough. Before that, practice hard and turn Fairy Tail into the #1 guild in Fiore. Max immediately came to Dieter's side and said, Brother Dieter, hurry up and persuade them. The great demon fight is definitely not as simple as imagined. Dieter eats fruit. I looked at Max and then looked at the members of the serious group who were about to move and immediately slapped the case. Kill him. Mother's sword-biting tiger. The sea with blue waves and blue sky. The guild members came to the seaside for training in preparation for the competition 3 months later. But there are people who are quite laid back. Comfortable, while sunbathing and fishing, training is boring. Dieter sits in the boat. Drifting on the sea with a fishing rod, watching hot beauties catching fish. This kind of life will not be changed for a president. Boom. There was a huge roar from Lucy and the others. Dieter looked over and found that Lucy and the others had disappeared. So I didn't get to sign in at Celestial Spirit. Feels like I lost $1 million. Hoo-hoo. The north wind is full. Blowing Dieter a little suspicious of life. Why did it become like this? Why did the Celestial Spirit world look so good and abandoned him? Yeah. And you two were with me. Back on the beach, there was a hint of sadness to watch Jed and Droy, who were equally sluggish. Brother Dieter, they are? Droy asked involuntarily. I don't know, just wait here. Dieter was speechless. He also wanted to go to the Celestial Spirit world to have a good discussion with the Celestial Spirit King, but in the blink of an eye, everyone was gone, so who should make sense? Suddenly fishing is so boring. Dieter walked towards the distance with his hands behind his back, a feeling of being unlovable. 3 months. Time passed in a blink of an eye, and when Lucy and the others came out again, they regretted it. Erza, you guys are coming to the bad bridge in Nishinomoka now. Sudden. Voices came from the heads of Erza and the others. It's Dieter's voice. Erza's mother-in-law looked at the other people and became curious when she heard the sound. Leave Brother Dieter for 3 months. I guess it's hard, Miss Erza. You must persuade Brother Dieter, Lucy said hurriedly. Both Natsu and Gray nodded. Last time I planned to train, but because of Otherworld's problems, I couldn't train. I'm afraid I won't be able to escape this time. Erza muttered, it's not my fault, it's Lucy's celestial spirit for taking us so quickly, forget about Dieter. A group of people walked towards the destination. Come to the broken bridge soon. I saw that the broken bridge quickly returned to its original state, and Erza and others walked over to the bridge. Go into the woods. 3 suspicious figures appear with capes. Who's where? Where is Dieter and what happened to the others? Who are you and where did Dieter go? Erza and the others were busy questioning. So you guys are really here, Fairy Tail. The 3 took off their cloaks, revealing 3 familiar faces. Erza asked with a sullen face. Jelil, where did you take Dieter? Why are you here? Natsu and others also immediately alerted. Don't be nervous, I'm fine. At this time Dieter appeared on a tree and greeted Erza and the others. Explains. Jalal's memory has been restored, he was rescued by Ultir and Meridi, and he established an independent guild, Witch's Sin. Jed and Droy responded immediately. I've heard of the Witch's Sin. It is rumored that in the past few years, a guild has wiped out many dark guilds. We have only one destination, Ultir said. Clear Zareth, the Dark Guild, and all the darkness in this world, so that mages like us who have been swallowed by darkness will not reappear in the world, Jelil said. At this time, Dieter waved his hand. You guys can gossip for a while, then quickly get down to business. Okay. Jelil agreed, nodding at Ultir. Ultir stood up and explained to Erza. My time arc magic can improve your strength, but I heard Dieter say that you urgently need strength right now. Natsu, several people are very curious. Dieter said, the magician has something like a container in his body to determine the limit of magic power. For example, after emptying the container, the body will automatically ingest the magic particles in the air, and after a period of time, the container will become full again. But recent research has shown that there is another vessel in the sorcerer's body that is not normally used. It is the potential ability that everyone has, that is, the second source of magic. Ultir added. The Arc of Time can awaken the second source of magic for you to use, which means that your magic power will be greatly increased. Immediately, Natsu and the others leaked wonderful smiles. Although I didn't understand it at all, but it's true that you can improve our strength. You're becoming more and more like a woman. Several people were very excited. They don't understand the second magic source, but they also know that the magic power will be improved, so that's it. Then go ahead, and as your punishment for keeping me for 3 months, use a little force, you know, Ultir. Dieter laughed. Ultir replied. Okay. Immediately, Natsu and the others pulled their hips down with their entire faces. Inside the hut. Ah, 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 ah. Woohoo. The screams kept coming, and the heart-piercing roar was extremely miserable. Then can you say why Sirius Island let us go? Ultir Merity asked, standing in front of Dieter. Sirius Island obviously had the opportunity to kill them, but Dieter released them. There must be a very big problem. Hey, I originally wanted to bring you home as a maid, but I didn't expect that I would be sealed for 7 years. If I knew it earlier, I would have killed you all. It's a pity. Dieter leaned against the tree trunk. Looking up at the starry sky is extremely regretful. Ultir and Merity were unmoved, apparently not believing Dieter's words at all. Okay. Just think I'll be sealed for 7 years, so let's make arrangements in advance for you to liberate the second source of magic for Natsu and the others, Dieter said. Ultir really believed it after saying that, because Dieter has always been mysterious. Then why the second source of magic doesn't work for you? Ultir wondered. Dieter's mouth twitched. Because I have no magic power, I don't even have the first source of magic. How can I get the second source of magic? You are so funny. Impossible. How come? Merity and Ultir retorted immediately. No matter how stupid they are, they can't believe it. Dieter's strength was so terrifying, how could he not be able to use magic, and he didn't believe his words at all. Look. You don't believe me if I say it. Dieter shrugged and it didn't matter. To be honest, there are many people who don't want to believe these days. Dieter. At this time, Jelil came up to talk to him. What do you think about what I told you before? Jelil asked. Dieter knew what he was referring to. During the 3 months, Dieter found Jelil ahead of time and had a fight. Although it was just a sparring session, it was also a bit intense. But then Jelil asked Dieter for one thing, that is, he wanted to participate in the Great Demon Fighting Tournament, in order to investigate the abnormal magic power. Dieter replied. I have no opinion, but I can help you introduce the president of our guild and see how he arranges it. If he has no opinion, of course. Jelil nodded in relief. Then I'll trouble you, it seems that you like Erza very much too. Dieter nodded and said nothing more. The relationship between the two people can't be said to be good, but it is not as necessary to kill each other as in Tower of Heaven. Dieter doesn't really care now anyway. Jelil has a heinous criminal identity, and it is impossible for him to provoke Erza out of thin air. Mostly a crush. Dieter was already a winner, and being a winner shouldn't really matter. Kingdom of Fury. Capital. The flower capital Crocus. Here, the Sorcerer Festival is held every year, that is, the Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts. The city was crowded with wizards and tourists from all over Fiore. In the center of the city is Fiore's palace, Meruclia's. On the west side of the mountain is the Flow Dome, the venue for the Great Demon Fighting and Martial Arts. On the street. Erza was almost paralyzed on the street, physically exhausted. Hey, he's still in a bad state. Is that magic really okay? Gray is worried. Erza scoffed at them. You are such a disgrace. You are finally here. Makarov walked over to Erza and the others with a few members. The entry formalities have been completed. Let them see the strength of Fairy Tale. Immediately. Hey, it's Fairy Tale. The guild at the bottom of the 10,000 years, they actually came to the competition again. Anyway, this year will also be the bottom. People passing by around covered their mouths and laughed. Natsu's teeth tickled with hatred. I wish I could immediately annihilate the people who mocked the guild in one fell swoop. They can laugh if they want. Are you ready? Makarov didn't care, looking at Erza and the others. 30 million J. In order to become the largest guild in Fury, we must do our best to go. Don't embarrass the first president who saved us. Erza and the others all nodded. At this time Lucy wondered. Why didn't the president let Gajil, Lagoses and Brother Dieter participate? Hearing question. Erza was also curious. In terms of strength, there are too many powerful people in the guild, and Dieter is the most incomprehensible. If let him go, there is really no one to be an opponent, but the president did not choose Dieter. Makarov said with a tangled face. No way, Dieter is sick, he said he has a disease that can't compete. Erza. Several people were stunned. When did this disease still exist? Isn't this just fooling people? Why did the president believe what Dieter said? A room. Several people stared wide-eyed in the house. President Makarov is so wise, he can see such meticulous requirements for the competition and sent 2 teams. Jelil, who was pretending to be Mistogan, saw the atmosphere was a bit strange, and he took the initiative to speak to dissolve the atmosphere. Mistogan is a very silent person, don't show your secrets. Lagoses held a thick book and read it over and over, advising Jelil over and over again. Have you read the rules of the game? Dieter leaned on the balcony, and when he heard the conversation, he quickly turned his head and asked Lagoses. You bastard, don't worry, who made the rules? How can you read such a thick book so fast? You can't reveal any problems, just wait. Lagoses was annoyed, and glared at Dieter again, immersed in the book in his hand and quickly read it. There Gajil smirked. Juvia and Mirajane couldn't help laughing when they saw Lagoses being managed by Dieter. Dieter rolled his eyes and sat beside Mirajane, waving at Lagoses. Okay. Let me tell you the rules you need to pay attention to. The next few people are very curious. Lagoses clapped the thick rules in his hands and said, You haven't read it. How do you know what the rules of this competition are? Are you stupid? Dieter rolled his eyes. Don't you know Feng Yang glasses? I have read the rules before handing them over to you. Immediately, everyone in the house laughed. Lagoses lost his face, and the blue veins on his forehead seemed to want to be angry. Dieter, stop teasing Lagoses, he's changed a lot from where he was before, Mirajane advised. Dieter shrugged. Just kidding, no one in the entire guild can call me big brother, but Lagoses. I am older than you. Lagoses squeezed a few words out of his mouth. But Dieter directly ignored it and said to several people, there are 3 main points in the rules of this competition. First of all, the presidents of each guild are not allowed to participate, and secondly, those who do not have the guild logo are not allowed to participate. This is also the reason for letting Jelil be a substitute. Jelil nodded, okay with being a substitute. There are so many monsters in this team, and he doesn't need his help to win points. Dieter continued. In addition, the rules for this year are very confidential. Before the start of the competition, each project has not been announced, and the project rules are explained before the competition. In addition, there is one more note. All contestants must return to the designated residence before 12 o'clock. Mirajane et al. All love eyebrows. I don't understand why the game is tomorrow and I have to come back so early today. Such a bold assumption. Maybe the audition will start tonight. This time there will be hundreds of teams at least, and a group of people will definitely be eliminated. Dieter assumed. After hearing this, everyone immediately felt that it was very reasonable. So if the number of people in the team is not enough, then you will be eliminated, right? Juvia thinks that's how it should be. That's right. Several people agreed, and even Lagoses didn't talk nonsense when he saw Dieter. Then everyone, go out and play, and remember to come back before 12 o'clock in the evening. Dieter left the room first when things were done. Get ready to take a walk on the street. Ding. Sign in to Damudu and perform martial arts, and you will be rewarded 10 skill points. Dear Master, do you need little cutie to help you add some points? Just walk to the street. The system assistant in my mind rang. Okay. Let's add it to the ability of the Junjun fruit. I don't know when I will be able to meet the opponent and try the power. Dieter agrees that little cutie can help. At the same time, I also mastered RBT a bit. The ability to get the Junjun fruit has been 3 months, and I haven't encountered a slightly more powerful opponent to try it. I don't know how powerful the first level Quake fruit is. Wow Lala not far away, There were people watching, and it seemed that someone was fighting. Dieter walked that way. In general, let's start the game, I can't wait. Squeeze the crowd. After seeing the scene inside, I was a little stunned. After the dragon handed over the Dragon Slayer magic to us, we solved it with our own hands, so that we can become the real Dragon Slayer. The double dragon sting of Swordbite Tiger explained. Kill your parents. Natsu is angry. I'm not interested in outdated things, let's go. Sting ignores Natsu and takes Rogue and the two cats in a unique direction to leave. Boom. Sudden. A huge force repelled, and Sting and Rogue were instantly beaten back a few meters, and their blood reaction was a little uncomfortable. His face darkened and looked unique. Brother Dieter. Dieter, why are you here? Natsu and Lucy greet each other quickly. Dieter narrowed his eyes and asked with a smile, you two are Dragon Slayers? Do you dare to order more? The third generation. The weakest generation. Why don't I kill you too and take away your Dragon Slayer crystals? Who are you? Want to fight? Sting and Rogue questioned. Dieter shrugged. No way, you can't even hold back my momentum, and you still fight with me. Do you like to court death so much these days? Boom. 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 The sound of teeth grinding came from Sting and Rogue's mouths. Dieter raised his palm at the two. Monument. When you want. The invisible attack hit out in an instant, and Rogue's sting was knocked to the enclave in an instant. Defeat Natsu and Gajeel first and talk big in front of me. Dieter laughed, signaling for Lucy and Natsu to follow, leaving the crowd that was surrounded by the crowd. After people leave, Sting and Rogue stood up from the ground, their faces darkened. That guy, there was a hint of panic in Rogue's eyes, but he didn't expect it to be so strong. Is this the magician of the Fairy Tale Guild? That person should be an S-rank magician. If their guild are all of this level, I'm afraid. Sting didn't say anything after that. But they also knew that if Fairy Tale were all that kind of powerful guy, they couldn't have risen to become the #1 guild in 7 years. I absolutely can't forgive that guy. Rogue is angry. With Sting and the two frightened cats, they turned and left in embarrassment. Amazing. Brother Dieter is getting better and better. Lucy keeps up with Dieter's pace, and Dieter's strength is getting stronger and stronger. Those two guys. Natsu followed behind him depressedly, and seemed to be very concerned about those two people, especially what they said. Come on Natsu. The two juniors are getting more and more arrogant. As the first-generation Dragon Slayer, if you don't work hard, you will be surpassed. Remember to defeat them and let them call you Big Brother when they see you, Dieter said. Natsu nodded fiercely. Well, that's right, I will definitely beat those two guys. Cough brother or something, it's just your fetish, Brother Dieter. Lucy ashamed. Warm, happy, seconded. Dieter walked around the neighborhood with Lucy and Natsu, and soon the night came. Go back early, the game is likely to start tonight. Dieter reminds. Huh? Isn't the game supposed to be tomorrow? How could it be tonight? Lucy said differently. Dieter said. Let's be back on time by 12, obviously it's a game, otherwise you won't care about other people's nightlife, go back. Lucy and Natsu also agreed to go back. Ding, congratulations to the master for defeating Sting and Rogue. You will be rewarded with 10 skill points. Do you need my help to add more points? The little cutie in my head speaks. Dieter. I didn't expect that defeating opponents can really add skill points, that Sting and Rogue only have 10 points in total. It's a little bit. The little cutie tells. Sting and Rogue are very strong, but they are a little weaker than your master. If you want to get rich skill points, then your enemies should be Tartaros, 12 shields, Sting and 12 shields. 10 skill points for Rogue is a lot. Okay. Add to the shaking fruit ability. Dieter didn't say anything more. After adding the skill points, I also walked towards the hotel. Inside the hotel, Mirajane, Juvia, Gajeel, Lagosas and Jello are already waiting here. You didn't go out for a walk, did you? Dieter went to Mirajane's side and asked a few people curiously. Allah. I went out and bought some nice and interesting clothes with Erza, and saw a lot of good places, Mirajane said first. Juvia said. Juvia had the most boring meal. Lord Grey and Leon made Juvia in a dilemma. Not in the mood. Jello replied. Gajeel muttered. Gabby insists that I accompany her to buy flowers. What's so good about that thing? Why don't you eat some iron? Look at the rules. Lagosas spit out the thick rulebook. Wee-haw. At this time, the clock in the house reached 12 exactly. Dong dong dong. Immediately, the entire city was ringing rapidly, and all the participating guilds looked out of the window curiously. Suddenly, a huge figure with a pumpkin hood was projected over the city. The Pumpkin King announced, "Hello everyone who came to participate in the Great Demon Fighting and Martial Arts Guilds. Next, in order to select the top 8 from the 113 participating teams, the qualifiers will now begin." Stare. Numerous participating teams said different. Team Fairy Tale, Lucy and Natsu were surprised. "It turned out to be exactly what Brother Dieter said, and now the game starts," Lucy said. Erza wonders. "What did Dieter say?" Natsu replied, "Before I came back, Dieter said that the meeting would start at 12 o'clock, and it was likely that the game would start at night, but I didn't expect that he really said that." "I see." Erza nodded. "Here." Several members of the Fairy Tale B team also said that they looked unique. "I was really chosen by Dieter. The audition will start tonight. I didn't expect that there would be 113 teams, and only the top 8 would be selected. It is really a cruel screening condition," Gajiel replied. Mira Jane nodded. "It seems that tonight's qualifiers will be quite intense. I just don't know what the content of the game will be." Lagoses had to admit that Dieter was right, and at the same time heaved a sigh of relief, but fortunately Dieter didn't refute when he said it during the day. Otherwise, Dieter will be seen as a joke. Outside, Mr. Pumpkin wriggled his body funny and continued to explain. "As the number of guilds increases every year, we have also learned the lesson that the content of the game is limited. So it was decided that only 8 teams could be shortlisted this year. The pre-selection rules are simple. Boom. The hotels in the city shook violently, pushing out the rooms and erecting them high above the city. The balcony of the room also extends out of steps, extending towards a higher place. At the end of the steps a huge spherical object appears. Next, please start the race, and the endpoint is the official competition venue, the Frau Dome. The first 8 teams to arrive can participate in the official competition. Magic can be used freely, unlimited. The first 8 teams to the finish line can successfully advance. However, if not all 5 people arrive at the finish line, you will be disqualified." Mira and the others watched the maze that was gradually taking shape and were ready at any time. Pumpkin-kun announced, "The Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts Preliminary Tournament, Aerial Labyrinth, start." Moment. Game start. "Don't move, I'll take you to rush over." Dieter's hands stretched out instantly, wrapping several members around, and the bundles were strong. "Do not." Dieter's figure flashed instantly, and in the blink of an eye, he had entered the air maze. "What's next?" Gajiel asked curiously, looking at the various suspended steps and doors and constantly scanning. "Towards the east. You guys show me the way, remember to look carefully," Dieter said. Several people knew that this time was not the time to argue, and immediately locked in the east and searched for a route toward the east from those 3-dimensional roads. "But honestly, Dieter, what kind of magic is this? Isn't your body too weird?" Looking at the arms wrapped around his waist, Lagoses couldn't help feeling weird. "Mira Jane, they were all curious. It's just that I haven't been ashamed to ask, and I immediately pricked up my ears to hear if Dieter would explain." Dieter's body kept flickering and rushing towards the east, explaining, "Rubber magic. I can turn my body into the properties of rubber, immune to lightning, immune toxins, and immune to face attacks. The properties of rubber can be enlarged and can be added to the body. Blood flows, you understand. FCK. 2 bug this kind of magic." Ragsausten thought of the Goblin Civil War when the thunder couldn't hurt Dieter at all, no wonder it didn't at all. And Gajiel grinned a little uncomfortable. "Doesn't his fist say useless? That's hard. If I changed it to the past, I would definitely not be able to tell you about my abilities, but now that I know more and more things, the ability of the rubber fruit is a bit unsightly, and I don't use it often." Hey, Dieter's body moved rapidly. Talking to a few teammates, these people are all their own and don't have to worry about being bad for him. In addition, with the ability to shake the fruit, the use of the rubber fruit will definitely be gradually eliminated, so it doesn't matter if you say something. Then your aura. At this time, Jello was very curious when he thought about the original battle, and the pressure of that kind of momentum must belong to another ability. Dieter laughed. "Ha ha ha, I still use that kind of thing a lot, so I can't say it, but it's a kind of momentum. It's like feeling powerless in the face of a black dragon. It's not magic, it should be used by everyone. When the black dragon is killed and Zareth is also dead, I can teach you if you want to learn. Leave me some mystery now." Ring. Another one immediately came to a passage door. Dieter puts the man down. "We're here." Clack, clack. When the flowers rise, when the sun appears, the great demon fighting and martial arts begin. Inside the venue. Tens of thousands of people in the audience cheered enthusiastically and greeted the annual event with piercing shouts. On the summit stage, Chabati Lola, who was reporting live, announced enthusiastically, "The annual magic festival, the great demon fighting and martial arts, is about to begin. I'm Chabati Lola, who is in charge of the fact sheet. The person in charge of the explanation is Mr. Ujima, a former commentator. Mr. Ujima, please take care of him." Ajima, who was next to him, said mildly, "Please take care of me." Chabati introduced again. "We also invited Miss Jenny Relight of Blue Pegasus, the beautiful woman who has achieved excellence in the Miss Fury contest, as the guest on the first day." Jenny over there rejoiced. "This year's winner must be our guild," shouting. Chabati took over and announced, "Okay, the players are finally entering the arena. The first to enter is the 8th place in the preliminaries, the savage team that does not fit the name of the fairy at all, Fairy Tale." Wow. With the appearance of Natsu and other 5 members, countless audiences immediately cheered. Countless people raised their fingers at them with contempt. Fairy Tale, the last to last every year, passed the qualifiers this time and is now in the top 8, Chabati said. With the news of the serious group's return shocking the entire continent, can they become number 1 in Fury? Ajima next to him explained, "It's great, congratulations, Fairy Tale, you must work hard. Come on. Come on. Fairy Tale, come on." In the viewing seat, a group of guild members, led by Makarov, cheered Erza and the others warmly. Suddenly Makarov realized there was something wrong with his voice. Immediately looked to the side. Wearing a long skirt with bare feet and raising his arms high, Mavis, the first-generation president with dumb hair on his head, cheered the members. "Come on, Fairy Tale. I'm here to cheer you on." After noticing Makarov's gaze, Mavis also replied with a smile. "You come to cheer us on." "No, that's not the problem," Makarov said. Mavis reassured him. "Don't worry, only people with our guild logo on them can see me. Because I have been staying on Sirius Island and have nothing to do, I came out for a walk." Below, Erza and others also laughed. "Ha ha ha. We can rest assured that the first generation is in charge. Although it's just a ghost." Then, Chabati continued to announce, "Next, the 7th place in the qualifiers. They are the Hellhound Legion, Quattro Cerberus." The 5 members appeared slowly, causing a group of supporters to cheer and shout. Chabati went on to announce, "The 6th-ranked guild, whose members are all women, is Mermaid Heel, known as the Sea Dancer." Cheer. Shout. A group of male actors enthusiastically encouraged, yearning for such a guild with only female characters. Number 5 is the Shining Blue Wings in the Dark Blue Pegasus. The 4th place is the Goddess of Love and Battle, the Sacred Destroyer of the Scales of the Snake Princess. Chabati continued. "The next entry is the 3rd place. Wow, this is really unexpected. The guild that participated for the first time actually entered the top 3. They are the gorillas in the middle of the night, Raven Tail." Uproar. With their appearance, Natsu and the others were all very excited. "It's Raven Tail. That's the guild of the president's son, Ivan. But shouldn't that guild be the Dark Guild?" In the audience, Makarov was furious and questioned, "Does the Dark Guild also participate in the great demon fight and perform martial arts?" The original Mavis murmured, "There's definitely something evil about them." The audience who came to watch were all curiously discussing. It didn't seem to expect that Raventail turned out to be a Dark Guild, and some people immediately put on an expression of disgust. Officially, Raventail was established more than 7 years ago, but they have only recently become a regular guild, Chabati explained. Ujima reluctantly accepted. Since the Guild Alliance has recognized it, then it is not the Dark Guild. Below, 2 guild people meet. Raventail said, "Fairy Tale, that little girl is a greeting gift for you. He he he." Natsu angrily, "It's you. Who hurt Wendy? I will never spare you." In a channel, Dieter opened his eyes to look at Lagosas and the others, and said, "Raventail is the guild of the guild leader's son, Ivan. According to their words, they injured Wendy before the game started. Pretty bold." Lagosas's eyes were cold. "Ivan. Very good, I hope you don't touch me." "Well, I'd love to meet them too, so that I can play them and die without knowing it after the game. I hope it will be as I wish," Dieter replied. Gajeel Hanging Goods, eating Hanging Goods iron, muttered, "I'm afraid everyone didn't expect that the next rankings would be beyond their imagination." "Allah, thanks to Dieter, we got to the end so quickly," Mirajane smiled. Several people leaked smiles. Outside, Chabati continued to announce, "The second-place team in the qualifiers has entered. This guild is really surprising. Come out slowly from the passage. The faces of those 5 choices were not very good looking. Their steps were firm and their faces leaked. They who have been leading all the time actually failed in this qualifier and became the second place. They are the tigers with sword bites. Shocked. Everyone's eyes widened. Those viewers did not expect that the second place was actually the tiger of swordbite. In the past years, the tiger of swordbite had maintained the throne of the first place, but this time it was only the second place. Sword-biting tiger. I didn't expect us to be number 2, and I don't know who number 1 is, Rogue said. Sting replied. That's also much better than Fairy Tale, who barely made the cut. Speaking of which, I haven't seen the one named Dieter. Rogue said disdainfully. 80% of them are afraid, and that kind of thing is just a sneak attack. Fairy Tale. I didn't expect that the tiger of swordbiting would only be able to rank second. It seems that there is an unprecedented dark horse in this competition. Erza was surprised. At the same time, I doubt whether the first guild has anything to do with the strange magic that Jelil said. Damn it, those guys are indeed there. Natsu is angry, waiting for Sting and Rogue in Swordbite Tiger to be angry. This time we have to knock them down. Lucy couldn't help but said. The second guild is so powerful, doesn't it mean that the first one is stronger, can we really? Gray wrapped his arms and said, whoever he is, the first guild of the Kingdom of Fury can only be our Fairy Tale. Say different. Surprise. Unbelievable. The audience couldn't imagine that even the Swordbite Tiger could only rank second. At the same time, I am quite curious about the first place. What kind of guild can take the first place? Chabati announced. The next entry will be the first place in the qualifiers. Wow. This is really surprising. It's really surprising. Let's welcome the first place in the qualifiers. Fairy Tale B Team. J. The clamor sounded. 5 members slowly walked out of the passage. They were dressed in the same color. Chi Yu came out of the passage in a dignified manner and caught his eye. When you want. Countless people were shocked. Several members of the Fairy Tale team widened their eyes. Elder sister. Gajil. Juvia. Lagoses is there too, it's a foul. My god. Dieter is even here, let's throw in the towel and award the championship to Team B. Several people panicked and leaked bitter expressions. How is it possible that Fairy Tale has 2 teams shortlisted? Rogue said. Sting said. That guy named Dieter is really there, really good, no wonder they can squeeze us out of the number 1 position, they must be very strong. The other participating teams are also different. Everyone watched this scene in disbelief. Auditorium. Why does Fairy Tale have 2 teams? What exactly is going on? Why do they have 2 teams on the field? The onlookers were a little surprised, they did not expect that there would be 2 teams in Fairy Tale. On the stage, Shimbati said, it seems that many people still don't know the new rules of this competition, Mr. Ujima. Ujima nodded. Well, each guild can send 1 or 2 teams to participate in this competition. Immediately. Everyone in the Fairy Tale team was a little dissatisfied. Looking at the positions of the president and others, he asked, why didn't you tell us about this? President. Makarov laughed, raised his arms and cheered, ha ha ha, did you see it? This is the strength of Fairy Tale. Natsu roared and walked towards Team B, pointing at Gajil and others and shouting angrily, what a joke. What about the same guild? I will do my best during the competition. I will never show mercy. Since you belong to another team, you are the enemy. I will never lose to you, bastards. Gajil stepped forward. Hit the head with Natsu and disdain. It's exactly what I want, you are the 8th place in the qualifier. Natsu, I'll give you a chance to speak again. Dieter said with a smile. Lagoses also nodded. I'll give you a chance to speak again. Ah. Natsu grabbed his hair frantically. Watching Dieter and Lagoses go crazy. Why does the B team have Dieter and Lagoses? How can this be played? Bang in the center of the great demon fighting martial arts venue. A huge inscription rose from the ground with the words written on it. Everyone, audience, let you wait for a long time. Mr. Pumpkin appeared and announced to the scene. Now I will announce the schedule of the great demon fighting martial arts. Wow, cheers. The enthusiastic audience raised their hands and shouted and cheered. There are 2 parts of the competition in one day, the competition and the battle. The first is the competition part of the competition. In this part, each team will be ranked, and the corresponding points will be obtained according to the ranking. Pumpkin announced. Everyone's eyes were locked on the huge stone tablet to watch, and the above scores were recorded in their hearts. 10 points for the first place, 8 points for the second place, and so on. 6 points, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 points, which means that if you want to lead, you must get the first place. Gajeel looked at the ranking score on the stele and spoke. The rest of the members also nodded their heads, and their goal for ranking is to be the first. The contestants for the competitive part are chosen by the teams themselves. In the battle part of the event, the organizer will combine the votes of fans to determine the candidates for the two sides, said Pumpkin-kun. Lagoses murmured, can they decide who they want to fight against? So, if you are unlucky and you run out of mana in the competitive part, will you have to be forced to participate in the combat part of the game? Mira-Jane analyzed. Over there, Mr. Pumpkin continued. The rules of the battle part are very simple. Each team only needs to face off in pairs. The winner will get 10 points, the loser will get 0 points, and in the event of a tie, both sides will get 5 points. The opening match of the Great Demon Fighting Martial Arts is secret, and it is about to start. Each team will send one person to participate. The rules of the competition will be announced after the contestants are selected. Listen to this. Each team began to discuss who should play. The Fairy Tale B team is here. From the analysis of the name, Secret, is likely to be a hidden competition. It is better to let Juvia or Miss Mira play. Juvia suggested. Mainly because she saw that Gray seemed to want to play. That's why it's so frustrating. From the analysis of the name, the two of them are indeed very suitable, Gajeel said. Several people looked at Dieter, waiting for his orders. In Team B, President Makarov felt that Mira was more careful, so he made her the captain, but in fact everyone listened to Dieter's opinion. Let me come. The people with the Swordbite Tiger and Raventail should have problems, let me try their skills. Dieter offered to ask. Everyone is a little different. Although Lagsa is reluctant to admit it, he has to say that Dieter is the strongest. I wanted to arrange Dieter as the last line of defense. I never thought that he planned to take the shot in the first game. Would this reveal some strength? Even if I lose, it's fine. Our guild is definitely the candidate to be besieged in this match. It's good to choose a strong one even if it's just to make trouble, Dieter said. Several people agreed after hearing it. Don't be called number 8, it's not you who will be embarrassed, Lagoses said. Gajeel grinned. I kinda like watching Dieter get hit with A. It must be fun. Watch out Vanga. Mira-Jane urged. Dieter waved his hands indifferently, raised his hands and stretched himself out. Fairy a team over there. Team B actually let Brother Dieter play. This game may be beneficial to us. Why not choose someone to follow Brother Dieter to rank? When Lucy saw that Dieter came out, he immediately suggested to the rest of the team. Ah. What a shame. Gray was reluctant. Natsu also laughed out loud. Dieter, I'm burning up, let me go, I'll see how strong Dieter is. Elfman snapped his head. He shook his head and laughed. Forget it, the second magic source has no effect on Dieter at all. It can be seen that his strength is probably extraordinary. You should not try to fight Dieter. Erza said. Let Gray go, his modeling magic is also easy to hide, and he should get a good ranking. Gray agreed to come out. At the same time, other teams also sent their candidates. Fairy a team. Gray, Goblin Team B, Dieter. Quattro Cerberus, Yego, Mermaid Heel, Beth. Raventail. Nullpudding, Blue Pegasus, Eve. Sword-Biting Tiger. Rufus. Scales of Snake Princess, Leon. The above are the contestants in the competition section. The players of each team participating in the secret, please come forward. Pumpkin John spoke. Dieter waved at several members and walked towards the pumpkin gentleman over there. Dieter, come on. Brother Dieter, Juvia asks you to show mercy to Lord Grey. Idiot. This is a game that has no mercy. Allah, come on Dieter. Several teammates cheered Dieter on. Soon. Several members walked up to Mr. Pumpkin. Dieter looked at Grey and muttered. Juvia asked me to be gentle with you, you told me to be obedient or not. What does it have to do with her? You can just come, I won't let the water go, Grey said. Dieter's mouth twitched slightly. Grey, do you know why you're single? Why? Grey asked subconsciously. Dieter, because you're a straight guy. What? Grey didn't understand why, didn't understand what Dieter meant. By the way, I started to care during the qualifiers, what the hell are you? Grey stared at Mr. Pumpkin and complained. Pumpkin John's funny introduction. As you can see, I'm a pumpkin. Eve over there said. We see it every year at the races, so we don't care much about it. Beth also said. It may be the staff of the organizer. We chatted very quickly here, and everyone didn't have any deep hatred, so there was no need to make the relationship so stiff. Wait for me. At this time, the member of Raventail was a little unhappy. Nullputting, he said. We don't know what the competition will be in the competitive part that starts next, not only that, but the content of the competition in the next few days has not been announced. There are 2 people in Fairy Tail, no matter how you think about the competition, they will be against them. Beneficial. Gray looked over. Dieter also looked at the guy without any changes in his eyes. There's no other way. After all, 2 teams in 1 guild have passed the preliminaries, which is already quite remarkable, Nan Pumpkin, said Mr. Pumpkin. Rufus of Swordbite Tiger spread his hands and said, I don't care, my memory is singing, it may not be beneficial to have 2 people participating in the competition. I don't mind either, I'm fine, cut. Several people have spoken out successively to express no opinion on this. Gray said. As expected of the tiger that bites the sword, the king is so unhurried. Companions may become your weakness instead. Rufus replied with a smile. Hostages, threats, intelligence leaks, and many other disadvantages, you have to keep your mouth shut. Dieter yawned, rubbed his eyes, looked at Rufus, and said, yeah, so I can totally get hold of your guild's Sangyong, because there's nothing they can do to stop me before I kill those 2 cats. Rufus' smile froze. He looked at Dieter with deep eyes and didn't say more, obviously because he didn't want to have too much entanglement with Dieter. Open the playing field. Pumpkin. Pumpkin-kun waved. A city of various buildings slowly emerged in the entire field. Uproar. The audience cheered with a wow. People who are sorcerers say that a city can only be created by powerful magic. The city surrounded the entire venue. The 8 participating members were also randomly sent to all corners of the city. Dieter was in the city, glanced around and closed his eyes, as if asleep. At this time, Mr. Pumpkin's voice came. None of the 8 contestants knew the specific conditions of the others. The rules of stealth are very simple. Even if everyone catches, they also hide. The players have to find other people in the city. And give the opponent a blow. The use of any magic in the game will not be restricted, no matter whether the blow hurts the opponent or not. The one who successfully attacks will get 1 point. At this time, there are phantoms in every corner of the city. Soon a large number of models identical to the contestants appeared. Just when the players were puzzled, Mr. Pumpkin's voice sounded again. These are the players' clones. If you choose the wrong target and attack the clones, the attacker will lose 1 point. Contestants. Just like black cats lurking in the dark, disappear in silence. Stealth. Start. The gong bell rings, and the game begins. People outside are analyzing, but also aware of the important key points of this game. The key to this game is not to hide, but to find the enemy, right? The Fairy Tail B team is here. Lagerses looked at the crowd of players, and Dieter was still talking with his eyes closed. Yes, there are a lot of Grey Sama. Juvia really wants to take one away. Juvia's eyes overflowed with love, seeing so many Greys that she could no longer control. Mira Jane smiled and said, Allah, fortunately, Juvia didn't participate, otherwise it would be really bad for him. Dieter, why isn't it moving? Gajeel asked. At the same time, Pumpkin John added. When a player is hit, he will restart the game from another area after 10 seconds, and within the specified game time, the number of times a player can restart is unlimited. The game lasts for 30 minutes, and the team with the highest score after the game ends will win the first place. Within the city, there are replicas of the contestants all around. And Dieter stood in the crowd with his eyes closed as if he was pretending to be a clone. At this time, it could be clearly seen from the big screen outside that Raventail appeared behind Dieter and was about to attack Dieter. And Unique continued to be in a daze as if he didn't see it. What the hell is Dieter doing? Opponents are already behind him, Lagoses asked. Gajeel murmured. Did he lose his points? And I don't know what he's doing. This part should be no problem for him. Even if he doesn't get the first place, he won't be the last place. Dieter, shouldn't he fall asleep? Jello grumbled. Juvia stared at it with a serious expression. Juvia thinks it shouldn't be missed. Mira Jane rubbed her hands together in anticipation. The guild and the audience also saw the situation on Dieter's screen, mocking wantonly, waiting for Dieter to be attacked. This Zhao Hao is really asleep. Let me just say, Fairy Tail is just lucky to get promoted, and it's nothing if there is no luck. Fairy Tail is definitely the guild at the bottom of the millennium. Ha 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 ha. The audience burst into laughter, their eyes full of laughter, waiting for the Fairy Tail guild to make a fool of themselves. Over there in the guild. Dieter, what the hell is going on? The opponent is hitting him right away, Kana muttered. Macau couldn't help but wonder. Shouldn't he really fall asleep? Why would Dieter be allowed to play? If he is not serious, he will lose miserably. Mavis also locked his eyes on Dieter, without any blame, but curious about what Dieter would do. From Makarov's mouth, this member of Dieter is a very good partner. Definitely better than the rest of the guild. Moved. Sudden, Mavis exclaimed violently. In an instant, the other members of the guild immediately locked on Dieter's big screen after hearing the words of the original Mavis. The guild's change here also made other audience members, as well as other guilds, a large number of people locked on Dieter's screen, wanting to see how he responded. But when I saw it, I was startled. Only in the picture, the Raventail Guild contestant who secretly approached the unique has disappeared. In the lower left corner of the screen is an announcement. Dieter beats Nullpudding, 1 point. Shock. Everyone was stunned, their wide eyes filled with incredible. Looking at the motionless and unchanged posture on the screen, I can't imagine how he fought back. What's the matter? I didn't see him move at all. Yeah. I've been staring at the screen and it just feels like the Raventail members are gone in the blink of an eye, but Fairy Tail scores. My god, how did this guy achieve this level? It's too scary. Countless people grabbed their hair and couldn't believe it. On the guild side, Mavis said with a very solemn expression, the momentum, there is a momentum released from Dieter when Nullpudding is about to attack, directly inflicting physical damage to defeat him. Imposing. Makarov's eyes became more puzzled, and he muttered. According to my observation, the magic of Dieter's kid should be rubber magic, which can turn the body into rubber properties, so as to enlarge the body or speed up the flow of blood. To increase speed. The momentum is really rare, but from Erza and Mira, they know that Dieter can use the momentum to shock the hearts of others. But when did the physical damage also appear? How strong is this guy right now? Can't even the guild leader like me be unable to hold him down? Mavis didn't answer. She couldn't figure out why, and vaguely felt that the momentum seemed to have nothing to do with magic, and even she hadn't felt magic from Dieter. At the same time, a few people from the Fairy Tail B team breathed a sigh of relief. I was startled. I thought that Dieter guy was going to roll over, but he was already prepared, Lagerses said. Gajeel grinned. This guy seems to have become more powerful. Is my idea of revenge really hopeless? What should I do? Jelil also shook his head. I can't see any movement at all. Dieter is really getting better and better. Gajeel, Juvia thinks you'd better accept your fate. Honestly, shout out big brother, you won't suffer. Juvia made up for the knife. Allah. Mira Jane smiled. Although Dieter has enough strength to not be attacked, it should be difficult to find someone else proactively. Several other acknowledgements nodded. I think it makes sense. You can't always stand up and fight back when you're attacked. You won't get the first place. In the city. Dieter sees everything. In this game, he didn't plan to use the rubber fruit ability or the shock fruit ability at all. Simply using Domineering and Navy 6 is enough to deal with these people. The targeted physical damage of Overlord color in the perceptual aura of seeing and hearing can allow him to find the other 7 contestants in the entire city. The boring game, it's time to end. Dieter closed his eyes and muttered to himself, he was about to strike. At this moment, a large number of eyes were locked on the unique figure, unwilling to let go of the slightest, and had to see how Dieter attacked. Shave. The ground stirred up dust. Dieter's figure disappeared instantly, and everyone went to other screens to look for Dieter's figure. But when they see those screens, that player has already been hit, and then go to see the other players and it turns out the same. The unique figure in the breath reappears. Still with his eyes closed, he was still standing in that position, and even the footprints were not deviated. And many distracted people didn't even realize that Dieter had moved. All that can be seen is the refreshed announcement information in the lower left corner. Dieter beat Nullpudding, 1 point. Dieter beats Beth, 1 point. Dieter beats Leon, 1 point. Dieter beats Eve for 1 point. Dieter beats Yego with 1 point. Dieter beats Rufus, 1 point. Swipe. Instant Kung Fu Dieter's score will appear on the screen. Of the 8 contestants, only Gray from the same guild was not attacked. All the others were instantly hit and respawned in other corners of the city. Shock. Different. Unbelievable. All the people in the guild widened their eyes, unable to let go of the bloody record. It turns out, it can be so powerful, this guy. Sting gritted his teeth, rubbed his fists and watched the information on the screen and couldn't keep his composure. A sense of helpless depression came over him. It's too powerful, it's an unprecedented, terrifying opponent. Rogue's face was also extremely gloomy, and he couldn't accept it. Even Rufus couldn't avoid it and was directly attacked. Even they couldn't lock onto his attacking figure. How could it be possible? All the people who participated in the guild looked at Dieter with complicated eyes, and they couldn't imagine how powerful Dieter was. Can beat everyone in the blink of an eye. It's scary. Even after 7 years of sleep, Dieter is still the most mysterious and scary guy in the guild. It's amazing. Macau was emotional. Watching Dieter's eyes was both excited and scared. If there is no sleeping years, it is impossible to imagine how powerful Dieter will be. And Makarov was also shocked for the first time. This kid is much stronger than me. Gear DOS can't be an opponent, and the speed is too fast. The hair on the head of the first-generation Mavis president was shaking, and she was in a good mood. She didn't care whether Dieter was strong or not, she only knew that Dieter scored 7 points in an instant. The first day of the competition was firmly in first place. Team here. Both Lagosas and Gajil wiped the sweat from their foreheads, and had a clear understanding of Dieter's strength. Invincible. It's really outrageous. This is the first time I have seen Dieter with full firepower. His speed is so fast that he can't find him. At this speed, he can quickly target other people. How did he do it? Mira was stunned. Dieter has great speed and strength, which she has experienced firsthand. But she really didn't expect Dieter to be so fast. This is simply inhuman speed. At the same time, I am even more curious about Dieter. Although she only knew that a man was curious about the beginning of the fall, she didn't care at all. She had been harmed by Dieter for a long time anyway, and she didn't mind letting herself fall even more. In my heart, I also felt that when I went back to sleep, I would blow the wind on my pillow and ask how I did it. It wasn't just the guilds and spectators outside the arena who were surprised. Even some of the contestants were stunned. Just kidding, well, I didn't even notice that someone hit me, so it hit me? Did you make a mistake? Is that guy really that powerful? He was able to deal with so many people in an instant. How fast would he be? My God, how can this be played? If we continue to let him fight, won't we be able to get points? Same. The refreshed Rufus also widened his eyes. Some couldn't believe it. It can actually attack me. That Dieter is really not easy. No wonder the people who can repel Sting and Rogue, but... He took a deep breath. Not immersed in the shock of being hit. He went straight to the top and announced, "This game is too boring, let me end it." All the contestants looked over. I don't understand why you have to expose your body directly. Isn't this an obvious opportunity for others? Rufus said. I have remembered the nature of your heartbeat, footsteps, and magic in each of you. I remember. Rufus smiled and put his hands on his temples, using magic. Memory shape under the starry night sky. Softer ginger time. Several rays of light burst out from Rufus, and those rays hit the 7 players. Moment. The information of Lufa defeating his opponent is also on the screen at the same time. Even if you hit me, I can still hit. Just as Rufus was about to say a few words, he found out that there was no Dieter announcement in the defeat message. Different. Meanwhile, only those who follow Dieter know what just happened. The moment when the memory modeling magic is used. For the first time, Dieter's body was seen moving by the naked eye. His body moved to the side. The distance of movement is not very large, but the simple movement has successfully avoided Rufus' memory modeling magic. The subtle to the extreme operation makes countless people's scalp tingle. Surprised that Dieter was able to dodge the attack with precision and subtlety, and the most frightening thing was that he didn't open his eyes from start to finish. Do not. In an instant, Dieter's figure flashed again. At that moment, the screen in the lower left corner swiped again, and a lot of information about Dieter's defeat of his opponent reappeared. Dieter beats Nullpudding, 1 point. Dieter beats Beth for 1 point. Dieter beats Eve for 1 point. Dieter beats Yego, 1 point. Dieter beats Leon, 1 point. Dieter beats Rufus for 1 point. Screen reappearance. This level is ruled by Dieter, who is invincible and able to teleport every moment to defeat all opponents. But the opponent couldn't catch him at all. Horror, mysterious, and powerful synonyms were brought to Dieter by the audience. Countless people want to know. If you want to analyze it, see how Dieter did it. They all want to know. Crazy. No solution. The people of the major guilds all feel this way, that incomprehensible ability is extremely tricky. They just hope that the guild members can eliminate as many other players as possible before Dieter's next attack. No one dared to think about it. The competition was going fast, and Dieter would make troubles from time to time, which also caused other guilds to race against time. Yo yo yo, the gong bell rings. Time up. The voice of Mr. Pumpkin sounded for the first time, and the huge city disappeared in an instant. The figure of 8 contestants reappeared. Only the first part of the competition is currently underway, and the only temporary rankings are announced. The competition rankings are as follows, said Pumpkin John. A curtain appeared in the air with the rankings and scores of the major guilds written on it. First place. Fairy Tale B Team, 10 points. Second place. The Tiger of Swordbite, 8 points. Third place. Raventail, 6 points. Fourth place. Scales of Snake Princess, 4 points. Fifth place. Blue Pegasus, 3 points. Sixth place. Mermaid Heel, 2 points. Seventh place. Quattro Cerberus, 1 point. Eighth place. Fairy Tale Team, 0 points. Despite Dieter's efforts to rescue Gray, either Raventail or the Tiger Bite are very capable, causing Gray to lose ground. Although the overall score in the secret competition is almost the same. But after all, there is a ranking order. Gray left the scene dimly, his face was ugly. Dieter was also helpless. Shaking his head and returning to the channel belonging to his teammates, he sighed when he saw that several people were already waiting here. I've done my best to help Gray, but you should also know that Team A definitely doesn't want us to support them all over again. Dieter shrugged. Mira Jane replied with a smile. It doesn't matter, the unique performance is very good, the A team will definitely turn from defeat to victory. HMPH, the Fire Dragon guy won't be knocked down so easily, he wants both teams to be the last, and then the latter will come out on top. Gajeel didn't care. Lagoses took a breath. It's inevitable to feel uncomfortable, but Fairy Tale has no weak points. We can give them a lot of pressure to get full marks, and it will promote them to keep moving forward. Juvia said. Juvia is a little worried about Lord Grey. Heard so. Dieter sat down and said, if it's not Juvia in the next game, you can go see him. Juvia nodded. Competitive competition is won though. But everyone was not very happy, they also hoped to see the 2 teams of Fairy Tale win a big victory. What's the use of only their own team winning? Ding. Congratulations to the master for winning the competitive competition, hidden, rewarded with 5 skill points. Please make persistent efforts. A little cute voice sounded in my mind. After winning the game, you can also successfully get 5 skill points. Although it was of no use, it also allowed Dieter to see the prospect. After winning a competition like the Great Demon Fight, you can really get skill points. Although very little. But it's also much faster than signing in a plot 1 by 1. The next thing is the battle part of the game. The players whose names are called, please come to the front as soon as possible and let us recall the rules of the battle part again. 8 teams duel in pairs, 10 points for the winner, 0 points for the loser, and 5 points for each tie. All teams play 1 game each, this part is not a knockout, please don't worry. With the announcement of Mr. Pumpkin, all the guilds are standing by, waiting for the candidates for the battle. The battle table has been sent to me. The first battle of the first day. Lucy Heartfilia from Team Fairy Tale. Battle, Flare Rona from Raventail. The game is announced. The Fairy Tale team live. Lucy, let her see the results of your practice. Natsu roared. Erza said. If we win this game, we can still catch up with other guilds, especially the B team, don't be downplayed by Mira. Erza was saddened when he said this. Also with a team. Team B scored a full score, and they scored a 0, and they will definitely be laughed at by Mira when they go back. Maybe she will speak bad words in Dieter's ear when she sleeps at night, which is unacceptable to her. The score must surpass the B team. Leave it to me. Lucy responded, thinking about the injured Wendy and the constantly targeted Gray, and said, I will definitely win. B team rest area. Lucy, you should have beaten the woman across from you after 3 months of training? Mira Jane saw that the person who came out was Lucy, and compared the two, she felt that the odds of winning were still very high. Gajeel, Juvia, and Lagoses didn't say anything unpleasant. They both felt that Lucy's victory over the other should be a no-brainer. Hey. But then Dieter sighed. It immediately attracted the attention of several people, watching Dieter curiously, wondering why he was sighing at this time. After all, Lucy's strength is quite strong, especially after 3 months of training. Dieter's analysis. In terms of strength, Lucy can now do double doors, and also has the super magic of celestial spirit, not to mention that woman, even other people can kill in seconds. It's a pity that the person opposite is the Dark Guild, you still expect him to obey the rules honestly? What? Mira Jane's eyes widened. No, this is how they play at the scene of the game. Gajeel was a little skeptical. Juvia nodded. Yeah, with so many people staring at the game, how could there be a chance to play tricks? You must be thinking too much. Raventail can do it, but how will he play? Leguses agreed. Dieter said. You should know that Wendy was drained of her magic power, which is what Raventail did. They can't be honest with us, they will definitely play it, and the result of this game may be very miserable. Everyone remained silent. Dieter's analysis makes sense, but it's hard to cheat in public. If Lucy does lose the game, that is a rather terrifying blow to Team A. The game is on. Lucy started to beat his opponents to pieces with powerful attacks. Too bad that Flare uses trickery. As a result, Lucy's physical strength and magic power are constantly being consumed. Despite Natsu's assistance, Lucy used super magic, but the magic was removed by the cunning Raventail. Lucy failed. The game is over. The winner is Raventail Flare Rona. Team B is here. The arc flashes on Legosis. Mirajane and the others also looked very ugly. As I said, Raventail couldn't fight Lucy honestly. It's not an exaggeration to say that he used his hair to extend his hair on the stage, and then they counteracted the attack on his own. Dieter sighed and shook his head. He could indeed help out in this matchup, but in doing so, he would be guilty of the same crime as Raventail. It is impossible for the organizers not to punish them. So can't get out. Wait, the A team can't play and there are still us. I believe we can meet each other soon, and then everything will be easy to say. Dieter took a deep breath and closed his eyes for the next game. Mirajane and the others clenched their fists, swearing in their hearts that once they meet Raventail, they will definitely let them know the price of hurting Fairytale. Game 2. Blue Pegasus, Lien vs Mermaid Heel, Alanya, Blue Pegasus wins. Game 3. Quattro Cerberus, Vakulai vs Swordbite Tiger, Orga Nanagir, Swordbite Tiger wins. The next two games were also very exciting. Although the first part of the sword-biting tiger only ranked second in the competition, their reputation is still not weak. Countless people called out their guild names with enthusiasm. That guy is using Thunderbolt. Legosis was concerned. Dieter replied. Orga, a member of the sword-bite tiger. The magic belongs to the thunder god destroying magic, and is a veritable god destroying magician. Different. The likes of Legosis and Mirajane were very unexpected. What they know about the god-destroying sorcerer is the Sirius Island incident, the sorcerer who fought against Natsu. Unexpectedly, there are other god-destroying magicians with other attributes. Interesting. Legosis is about to move, and the Dragon Slayer of Thunder and the Mage of Thunder God must compete. Not only that, Dieter added, as far as I know, the little girl on the scale of the Snake Princess is also using a god destroyer, and like Wendy, she is a sky god destroyer. Shock. This time Mirajane and others are really surprised. How do you know so much? Gajiel muttered. Dieter shrugged. The information is very simple. Do you think I have been training for 3 months without doing anything? For most of the guild members on the scene, I know the magic they use. Sigh. Compared with Dieter, Mirajane felt very guilty. They didn't have time to study the magic of the enemy at all, but Dieter basically figured it out, which is really professional. The only thing left is scales in us, Mirajane said. Several people were eager to move, obviously looking forward to the moment they entered the venue. Today's last game is finally about to start. The remaining two teams are the Fairy Tail B team and the Scales of Snake Princess. These two guilds used to be of equal strength, and this game should be very interesting. Fact report. Chabati clamored for the atmosphere. All the guilds are waiting. Maybe many people are very disdain for the Fairy Tail A team, but still looking forward to the B team. Mainly because Dieter's unknowing ability aroused the curiosity of countless people. The guild is here. I don't know who the B team will play. Macau was curious. Kana gulped and said, no matter who is going to win, it depends on whether it is a narrow victory or a complete victory. Team B is full of monsters. If Brother Dieter comes on, there's nothing to watch. Someone said. But it soon felt unlikely. After all, the possibility of 2 consecutive appearances is not very large. Dieter. 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 At this moment, the audience did not know who started the domain, and countless people immediately seconded. For a time, there were many people in the entire venue calling for Dieter to appear. B team waiting area. Hearing the whistling of the mountains and seas outside. Several people's faces changed. Gajiel couldn't believe it. No way. How could it be possible for people to appear twice in a row without giving us a chance to appear? Mirajane's eyebrows are helpless. Allah. I didn't expect so many people looking forward to Dieter. I'm afraid it's really possible to make Dieter play again. Also, as long as I run into Raventail, it's okay to leave the rest to Dieter. Lagoses agreed. Jelil said at this time, although I am a substitute, I also want to come out and fight. Juvia wants to perform in front of Lord Grey too, Juvia also said. Dieter laughed. He really didn't expect so many people to let him play. But is it possible? Let's invite you. Lanikis from the scales of the Snake Girl. Table pull? Dieter was a little surprised. If it's Sarah, it's best to let Lagoses play, and Terra's magic is the most restrained Juvia, but it's a little difficult to win if it really does, and it's a holy 10 anyway. Dieter analyzed. Everyone expressed their approval, but no one confessed, and they all wanted to come forward and learn from each other. The spectator seat. Phala, how should we fight now? It is very likely that we will lose the game, Macau said. Kana retorted. Whether it's Lagoses or Dieter, it might be a bit difficult for others. Do not. Makarov immediately denied it. With an unprecedented dignified expression, he said, Lagoses can't beat him. Jura is Holy Land. The safest one is Dieter, but no matter how loud the voice is, the chances of Dieter appearing are very small. The powerful Makarov of the Holy 10 clearly knows that. It's not that he looks down on Lagoses. It is not easy to defeat the Holy 10. Even if Lagoses really wins, he will be seriously injured. Even Dieter would be suppressed by In Magic, a team. Unfortunately, is the first place of Team B also terminated? Elfman was speechless. Natsu Ame said discouraged. I heard that he and the old man are the same as the Holy 10. How can this fight, if only Lagoses appeared? No. Lagoses didn't necessarily play. Erza's face was heavy. Everyone is worried about the B team. Over there, Chabati continued to broadcast. He is the strongest player in this tournament, the one who holds the title of Sacred 10. It seems that this time the Fairy Tail B team is very bad. That's not necessarily true. The Fairy Tail B team is also very strong, Ujima replied. Chabati announced. Yeah, after seeing this player, I was also very different. I didn't expect that the Fairy Tail B team would be. Fabulous strength. His handsome appearance attracted a large number of female audiences. Crazy even for it. Dieter. Wow. Wow. The clamor sounded, and everyone inside and outside the stadium was stunned. Eyes widened, they couldn't believe it was Dieter, and countless people dug their ears and doubted their hearing. Dieter. 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 Cheers sounded. Those in the audience who admired Dieter chanted Dieter's name. Its momentum was no less than the cheers of Saint Shibiao's appearance. A team. If it's Dieter, then it's safe. Erza breathed a sigh of relief. The strongest Team B team is Dieter. As long as he plays, then even Jura of the Holy 10 will not be an opponent. Brother Dieter, man. Elfman is also very excited, obviously very happy with Dieter coming out. In the audience, the entire group of the guild also put their hearts down. Dieter is going to play again, and his words should be steady. Yeah, the unique strength is so powerful, Saint 10 will definitely not be an opponent, let's watch it. It's going to be a winning streak again, it's really a bit easy. At this moment, several people in the B team rest area did not expect it. It turned out that it was you who actually played. It seems that your supporters are really high. Lagoses was a little envious. Good luck with 2 appearances in a row. Boring, can these audiences only see Dieter? We are not weak. Gajil was indignant. And Dieter didn't think so, to be honest. However, he still stood up and moved his muscles a little to walk outside. Don't be careless, that is Holy Land, and the opponent who has the same title as the old man is very powerful, Lagoses reminded. Dieter scratched the hair on his head. He asked with a smile. Lagoses, how many tricks do you think I can beat him? Way, Lagoses said disdainfully. It's true that you are strong, but Biala is also Holy Land anyway, and a narrow victory is already very good. Dieter shrugged. He raised 3 fingers and said, as long as I make a move, I will defeat him with 3 moves. Da da da. Go out to the field. The cheers for him around the listeners are also very enjoyable. I didn't expect to fight Mr. Dieter. I really want to admit defeat, Phala said. Although Dieter's strength is still at Oracion ceases 7 years ago, he clearly knows that a strong man like Dieter will never lead to a decline in magic power due to the passage of time. He wasn't even sure if he could win with all his strength. Mr. Jura is very polite. I have never been serious about my attack. Before I went on the field, I even said that I wanted to beat you with 3 moves. I hope you can pay more attention to your defense, Dieter said politely. Tiala smiled and distanced herself from Dieter and replied, if you can defeat me in 3 moves, Then I will only be more gratified, of course. You can do it in advance. The gong is ringing. The moment the competition started, Phala immediately directed the dance. Rock pillars shot out from Dieter's feet, sending Dieter up into the air. Rock tip. Jura didn't dare to make any big comments, seeing Dieter use magic again immediately after being hit in the air. Towards the Dieter barrel in the air with a mass of iron hard rock tips. He was so ruthless that he even had the idea of one-hit kill. Air. Dieter was knocked out, seeing so many rock tips stabbing at all kinds of tricky angles, and knew he had to defend. He raised his right fist high. Sudden. A white orb wrapped his fist. Slam down. At that moment, a unique fist smashed into the air. But the air actually cracked open gaps, spreading around like a spider web. Boom. The massive rock tip shattered before it even touched Dieter. On the other side of the guild, Makarov and others were a little surprised. That's magic, right? It's the first time I've seen Dieter perform this kind of magic. What is the principle behind it, and why does it shake the space out of cracks? Makarov kept thinking. Dieter has fought before, but every time it's his rubber magic that's the main thing to do. But this was the first time Dieter had seen magic visible to the naked eye. But he really didn't know what type of magic it was. Interesting. It's really interesting. I didn't expect Dieter to have a new move. I don't know what kind of magic this magic belongs to. It looks a bit strong. It's more than a bit strong. This punch smashed the rock that was pulled by the table in midair. Amazing. It's amazing. I didn't expect Dieter's strength to be so strong. B-Team rest area. What kind of magic does Dieter belong to? The white halo can crack the space and shatter rocks indirectly, Gajeel wondered. Mira Jane's eyes were even more engrossed. Dieter is really getting more and more attractive, mysterious and powerful and unknown magic. Really great. On the playing field. After Dieter shattered the rock with a punch, he landed firmly on the side and aimed at the watch, clenching his right fist, and a white halo appeared on it again. There are blue veins on the arms, it looks a lot. Rock Mountain. That Jura didn't dare to be careless, and when he put his hands together, he immediately summoned the strongest defense. The huge mountain turned into a majestic soldier, protecting Biela inside, without fear of Dieter's upcoming moves. Air shock. Dieter swung his fist in Jura's direction. That moment. The crack extends 1 meter high at the fist, and the hideous lines look extremely dazzling. Boom boom. The ground behind the crack was shattered by an invisible force, and a road full of gravel and tattered stretched out. The road stretched out to the great rock giant of Tiara. Brown. That hanging watch is the strongest hanging. The defensive rock giant has cracked cracks. It spreads from the feet to the whole body. Zhang Shi's smooth line rock giant has become very embarrassed. The cracks are getting bigger and bigger. Boom. In the end, it was no longer able to support it, and the huge rock giant was shattered by invisible force. The watch that leaks out is protected inside. After the body of the table was exposed, he did not dare to stay in that position at all, and immediately retreated quickly. Taste. As expected. When he retreated, the ground was shattered again and again. What kind of magic is that? Hurting people from the air. How did he do it? The guild spectator. Makarov looked at the ground blasted by a punch, and the bleak scene of the gravel-paved floor was delayed, and he was unable to see any effective signs. Space is broken. Why was it broken, and after being broken, you can still see with the naked eye? What kind of magic does the white halo on the fist belong to? How much is Dieter hiding? The first generation, can you see what magic the Dieter kid uses? Makarov asked. The original Mavis also wrinkled his beautiful eyebrows, and the dull hair on his head seemed to be troubled by moving back and forth. Staring at Dieter for a long time, still shaking his head. I can't feel the magic from him at all, but the white halo is obviously magic. Why is it like this? Neither Makarov nor Mavis could see anything. Not to mention other guild members, they were at a loss for a long time, but they couldn't come up with a reason in the end. But they knew that Dieter had suppressed the watch at the moment. On sight, Jura's face was extremely solemn. Looking at Dieter, it is impossible to imagine that such a powerful magic is contained in this body. Tricky. Tricky like never before. Mr. Dieter's strength, I am willing to be defeated, but it is not easy to defeat me in the next move. Overlord, Rock Break. Jura's palms are right for Dieter, using his strongest magic to block the opponent's actions with numerous rock realities, and then detonate it instantly to smash the opponent. If this trick is replaced by other people, then the table pull will never be used. But in the face of Dieter, you must go all out, and defeating Dieter is definitely not easy. The many rocks shot out around Dieter, trying to block Dieter's body. But how could Dieter give in so easily? The moment Jura used the magic, she immediately swam and rushed towards Jura. Tila will never be beaten standing up. The many rocks are constantly restricting Dieter's movements on his path, trying to trap Dieter's figure. Dieter moves fast. Every time I can travel through the many rocks, I want to come to Shihula's side. You are defeated. The white halo on the fist is reproduced. The muscles on Dieter's arm exploded, and the terrifying power contained in it was about to be used. Not necessarily. Heading rock iron powder explosion. Jura smiled and folded her hands in front of her, and the iron hard rock points around her stabbed Dieter sharply, trying to penetrate his body. I said no use. Empty place, yo. Ohm. The fist hit, but it didn't hit Biaolaw's body, but had a certain distance from him. That punch down. The crack in the space between the two people spreads. Like a spider's web, the fissures crawled all around. That Jura's move was instantly shattered, but you didn't beat. Biaola wanted to say that the 3 moves did not defeat him, but before the words were finished, he only felt a kind of tearing pain in his body. Internal organs are instantly damaged. Eyeballs are covered with bloodshot eyes, and the unbelievable gaze is sluggish. Dieter retracted his fist and took 2 steps back and nodded, I'll give it up. Turn away. Just when everyone didn't know why, they didn't know why the two didn't continue to fight. Sudden. Table Pole's body hastily took 2 steps back. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth, and his body fell back weakly and fainted. Jura is defeated. Uproar. Everyone in the audience cheered, and the people from the major guilds were stunned. Several people in the scale of the Snake Princess couldn't believe it. What's the matter? Dieter's last move obviously didn't hit Mr. Yingluck. Why did Mr. Jura vomit blood? Yuka wondered. Leon was sweating coldly on his forehead. This Dieter was too strong. 3 strokes to defeat Santa Ten Jura. Is this really the power of an S-class wizard? It's a bit outrageous. A team. It's amazing. Dieter is really getting stronger. I'm burning. Natsu was excited. Dieter's mysterious and powerful magic is truly breathtaking. Elfman said. Man, so strong. Dieter's strength hasn't declined after 7 years of contemplation, and it has improved so much. That's Saint Ten Jura, who was defeated by him with 3 moves. Erza also said something different. Team B. Lagoses was really stunned and muttered. This guy really defeated Sarah with 3 moves. I thought he was just talking about it casually. Powerful. Too strong. Compared with the original Goblin Civil War, Dieter's strength has improved so much that it seems like he's hanging on. If I were to compete with Dieter now, I would be killed instantly, right? Gajeel also had cold sweat on his forehead. He didn't expect Dieter to be so strong. What kind of S-rank magician would he be? He also decided in his heart that it would be better to provoke Dieter less in the future. Allah, Dieter is getting stronger and more manly, Mirajane laughed. In the field. He's down. Saint Ten Jura he's down, and Dieter ended up with 3 moves. The winner is Dieter from Team Fairy Tale B. Cheers. Countless people in the audience stood up from their seats, raised their hands and cheered. Dieter. Dieter. It's so powerful, it's so powerful, it's so powerful. Fantastic, wow. Dieter G is strong. It was really enjoyable to watch today, and I will let him play next time. The audience people cheered enthusiastically. Countless people are crazy, and they are blindly admiring Dieter's charm. They can't wait to rush up to get autographs. Chabati announced. So far, the first day of the Great Demon Fighting Tournament is over. The overall ranking for the first day is: first place, Fairy Tale B Team, 20 points. Second place, Tiger of Swordbite, 18 points. Third place, Raven Tail, 16 points. Fourth place, Blue Pegasus, 13 points. Fifth place, Scales of Snake Princess, 4 points. Sixth place, Mermaid Heel, 3 points. Seventh place, Quattro Cerberus, 1 point. Eighth place, Fairy Tale Team, 0 points. Seeing the score of the last place, Ujima said, the competition has only been going on for a day, and I hope to see a wonderful battle of score reversal later. Jenny also said, our guild also aims to be champions, and the second day's game is really looking forward to it. Chabati thanked Mr. Ujima, Miss Jenny, I am really grateful to both of you today. See you tomorrow. And you can really do it. Do you really have 3 moves if you say 3 moves? Ilala. Thank you for your hard work. You are very powerful, you have brought down Jura of the Holy Ten. You're fine, but Juvia still likes Lord Grey. A few people in the background sighed. Give the most sincere affirmation to Dieter's victory, but also look at him differently. Let's go. It's time to go back. Speaking of which, I played twice in a row today. It is not possible for me to play in tomorrow's game. It's a pity. Dieter waved a few people away boredly. Ding. Congratulations to the master for defeating Santa 10 Jura, and getting 10 skill points. Do you need cuteness to add points for you? As he was walking outside, the system assistant in his mind, Little Cutie, reminded him. Add it. Dieter agrees, currently has 15 skill points, and it takes 10 points to add 1 level. As a result, the ability of Junjun Fruit has now entered level 3. You don't need to ask to know that the power has been greatly improved, and it should not be so difficult to deal with Saint Tenjura when it reaches the full level. A pub. Kana drank the wine and complained. It's a shame, the strongest fairy tale has lost like this, what are you all doing? Elfman muttered unhappily, how does Kana know how hard it is to deal with those guys when she's not on the court? Kana retorted. What's difficult? Look at the B team. They won the 2 games and scored 20 points. They are the first place. You are really ashamed. Many people in the guild were speechless. Dieter is different from them. Dieter is so powerful that no one will be an opponent. Chairman Makarov said indifferently. Forget it, in order to commemorate the great victory of Team B and the fiasco of Team A this time, let's have a good fight. Everyone in the guild was drinking and laughing, and didn't think there was anything wrong with losing so badly today. There. Erza and Mirajane also sat together and chatted. What an unexpected day. Erza sighed. Mirajane jumped her eyes and smiled. Yeah, we all have to work hard tomorrow. Dieter, who was eating with a spoon, said nothing. If I can play 2 games today, it is unlikely that I will play tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, no matter how loud the audience's voice is. The King of Furies certainly couldn't have seen Dieter's one-man show. Do you want to find a place to fish tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll play. We'll definitely get it back. Natsu announced eagerly, he was unwilling to continue watching the countdown, and wanted to break the current danger. Over there after Gajeel heard Natsu's words, he also immediately said, huh? If the fire dragon is on the stage, then I'll play too. It's almost time for everyone to see the results of my practice. Dieter smiled. Practice results? Motion sickness battle, right? Be sure to go over and take a good look tomorrow, and then when Gajeel comes down, he will mock him fiercely. Too bad there is no recording. Otherwise, you must record what Gajeel said at this time, and let him listen to it tomorrow. Gray and Lucy from outside came in too. Although it seems a little forced to smile, it is clear that he is no longer so worried about the previous failure. Okay. Everyone is here. At this time, President Makarov stood up and swept over all the people in the tavern to speak loudly. Little bastards, listen up. Today's defeat is the ladder to tomorrow's victory. We are fairy tale. A perfect score and a 0 are the biggest defeat. Let's rush up. The only one who can be our opponent is ourselves. There is no word abandonment in our dictionary, goal fury first. Oh. 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 With the president's encouragement, the guild members cheered enthusiastically. One by one, they are arguing about fighting with people. For a while, the small tavern was messed up by the fairy tale group. Who's next? Come and cheer me up. Natsu stepped on the table and shouted. Several guild members lay at their feet, apparently having been brought down by Natsu. Interesting. I'm here to fight with you. Gajeel was about to move forward and fight Natsu. Lagoses over there quickly persuaded. Stop it. You fight with Natsu, then it's not a matter of playing. Gajeel said something different, reached out and patted Lagoses on the head in surprise. Oh. How did you become so sensible, Lagoses? Stop it now, Gajeel. Levy hurriedly pulled Gajeel. Seeing this, Fried couldn't sit still and said, You bastard. What are you doing to Lagoses? You have trampled all our glory. Lagoses guards Thors. Assemble. Very noisy. Dieter also took a glass of wine after eating. Looking at the overturned tables, chairs, benches in the messy ground, I found a clean corner and sat down in a daze. In the other corner, Kana was drinking with a strange boy. In the end, drink and lose. Wow ha 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 ha. Bacchus got up drunk and waved the things in his hands and said, This is just a trophy for me, drink. What the hell are you doing? You'll be killed by Gear Das. It's back. If you underestimate our guild. Bright. Macau and Cabas stepped forward to snatch it. But it was empty. Stopped by that Bacchus backhand, he continued to walk outside drunkenly. What's the noise, Macau and Dakaba, won't you go to other places to sleep when you sleep? Dieter yawned. When walking towards this direction, Macau and Lo Kaba also reminded. Dieter, this guy stole Kana's things, hurry up and come back, Macau said quickly. Dieter walked over to Bacchus, looked at him, put his hand out, and said, give it to me, it's all guests, that thing is a bit too much. Bacchus. Erza stepped forward and called out his name. Huh. Bacchus looked over drunkenly and laughed. Kiss, isn't this Erza? Woo, you haven't changed at all, you're still a good woman. Dieter narrowed his eyes. Ignored, right? It's kind of ridiculous. Have not seen you for a long time. Erza stops Dieter to greet Bacchus. Then Bacchus laughed in disapproval. It is said that you have been missing for 7 years? That's right, you don't seem to have participated in the great demon fight, right? Erza replied. Bacchus said, Frog haha, this time I wanted to let the young people show more performance, but after watching the tragic scene of Vikulai, the soul of a man made me unable to stand idly by. So I joined as an alternate member, and my soul was shaking. After he finished speaking, he swayed Dieter away from the things in his hand and left the tavern. What is that guy doing? Macau complained. Erza sighed and said, he's a Quattro Cerberus S-class sorceress, I run into him a lot at work, and I know how powerful he is. Drunk Eagle, Bacchus who hangs the hall with the drunk. I fought with him a few times, but couldn't decide. So D. After Erza finished speaking, he also looked behind him, only to find that Dieter who was standing behind him had long since disappeared. Curiously looked at Macau and asked, where are the people? Macau's face was a little weird, and he muttered, it should be going back. In fact, he roughly guessed what Dieter was doing. But he dared not say it. Erza raised her eyebrows and said strangely, is it a good time to go back so early? Outside. Dieter came out of the small alley. He stopped Bacchus head on, looking at his swaying body without being careless. Ah, you're the one just now, right? Asked Bacchus drunkenly, as if he didn't care what Dieter was going to do. Don't you know how to apologize when you meet someone? Dieter asked him. Wow haha, Bacchus smiled and pointed at Dieter. Apologize to you. What will happen if you don't apologize? Ah, drink. Boom. His words just fell. The head was instantly smashed to the ground. Dieter grabbed his hair and hit the ground, crushed again twice. Pulling his hair to the river next to him, he said to him, I will die. Gollum, press his head to drown in the river. The Bacchus struggled constantly, but he couldn't break free from Dieter's grasping hand no matter what. Hoo-hoo. After drowning him for a while, Dieter took him out and said to him, remember, next time you bump into someone, remember to apologize. Monument Review. After hitting the stone bricks on the ground several times, he turned around and left. Erza didn't come until after returning to the tavern. I thought you went back. What did you do just now, and you got wet? Erza checked Dieter's wet body, too. I'm sure I didn't ask after I fell into the river. Going fishing, but the bait is a bit big, struggling a bit crazy, splashing all over, Dieter replied. Listen to the cryptic words. Macau immediately thought that Dieter was grabbing Bacchus and drowning in the water, who was struggling, so he got rid of him. Hiss. Kind of scary. Macau dare not continue to imagine. The next day. Athletics section. Live commentator Chabati explained. The point of this race is to be careful not to fall off the connected chariot as you race to the finish line. Guest Ajima added. This is no ordinary racing game. Within the city, the huge carriage is constantly running, and all the contestants are chasing after it bravely. Chabati said. Because the chariot underfoot is constantly moving, it is possible to crash if you are not careful. Which team will be the first to reach the finish line of the Frau Dome after winning the sightseeing tour of Crocus? We will use the magic crystal to present the current game status to the audience and friends in the venue. Inside the venue, a large screen appeared suspended in midair so that all the audience in the venue could understand the current progress of the game. The chariots were connected. There are several contestants who are constantly chasing and climbing. A team scene. Why let Natsu play? Gray grumbled. Lucy sighed. As soon as you hear the competitive name of chariot, you can expect such a competition. Erza was ashamed. He was going to play no matter what, he didn't listen at all. Several people were speechless. The same thing is happening with the B team. Looking at Gajil in a disengaged state, Lagerses also asked Dieter and Mirajane speechlessly, so why don't you stop him? Allah. Aala Mirajane said with a smile. Gajeel didn't want to say anything when he heard that Natsu participated in the competition, and he went up too, but he also got motion sickness. Dieter rolled his eyes. I want you to go, but should you go too? What will happen then? The dignified Thor boss. The dignified grandson of Fairy Tail president. The dignified S-class wizard is car sick. Lagoses blushed. Suddenly, he didn't dare to speak, and kept scolding Dieter in his heart. Which pot is not opened and which pot is lifted? Chabati continued with the live commentary. Natsu of the Fairy Tail team, who is far behind the leading team, is already in a state of disengagement. Not only that, near him there is Gajeel of the Fairy Tail B team, and even Sting of the Swordbite Tiger is in a state of disengagement. What the hell is going on here, Mr. Ujima? Ujima replied. These three should have something in common. On the chariot. Gajeel's face was also ugly. He never imagined that he was also car sick now. I knew it wouldn't work this way. When I go back, I will definitely be laughed to death by the Dieter guy. Damn it. From the live report. Okay, let's take a look at the leading players. Lens transitions. A few members from the last position to the forefront. Chabati reports. The competition here is heating up. Leading the way is Raven Tail's Kurohebi. It was followed by a knight in blue Pegasus, Yuka in Scales of the Serpent, and Risley in Mermaid Heel. The camera is aimed at several contestants. Immediately afterwards, the camera came to Quattro Cerberus member Bacchus, and the air was quiet for a few seconds after seeing the appearance of this participating member. Chabati said professionally. Okay, a little further away is Bacchus, an alternate to Quattro Cerberus. It can be seen that Quattro Cerberus takes the game very seriously. Even if this alternate member's head is wrapped in white bandages, he still has to participate in this competition, which is indeed very professional. I just don't know what this member did. It would hurt like this. Viewing seat. Macau on the guild's side also laughed awkwardly when he saw the person. How lucky this guy is still able to participate, Macau muttered. Kana asked. Macau, what are you talking about? This guy seems to be the one who drank with me last night. Why didn't I see him like this all night? Could it be that he was beaten? Ha ha ha. Macau would love to give Kana a thumbs up for agreeing with her conjecture. But hold on. At the same time, Erza of Team also frowned in love. What's going on with Bacchus? Could it be that he drank too much and fell to the ground? What's the matter in this tragic situation? Can't he just take a rest? Erza complained. Several members felt quite right, but they would never have guessed that it was Dieter who turned Bacchus into this. Team B. Dieter was dealing with Mirajane and the others, nodding his head in a false way. It's so sad, the people of Quattro Cerberus are so competitive, I'm really touched. Fortunately, Bacchus didn't know Dieter's words. Otherwise, the table will be overturned and scolded. The game is coming to an end. Although the two brothers with motion sickness couldn't hold on, but luckily they got the ranking in the end. Team Fairy Tail got 2 points. Team Fairy Tail B got 1 point. Therefore, the score after the competition on the second day is no longer the first place for the Fairy Tail B team. First place, Raven Tail, 24 points. Second place, Team Fairy Tail B, 21 points. Third place, Tiger of Swordbite, 18 points. Fourth place, Blue Pegasus, 16 points. Fifth place, Quattro Cerberus, 11 points. Sixth place, Mermaid Heel, 9 points. Seventh place, Lamia Scale, 8 points. Eighth place, Fairy Tail team, 2 points. Although Team A is still in the bottom, the score is no longer 0, which is a very strong improvement. It's not the first place, so I hope the next battle can be won. Dieter didn't laugh at Gajeel. Looking at the current score is also very melancholy. It is not easy to stay in the first position for a long time. It doesn't matter, it's good to win the next game. Mirajane consoles Dieter. The others in Gajeel were also a bit slow, wanting to say something but not knowing how to say it. Take a deep breath. Speaking. In the 2 days and 3 games, boys will play more often, so the next battle is very likely to be played by women. If Juvia and Mira play, it will be a quick fight. Dieter, close your eyes. Because of his participation, it is really uncertain who the contestants will be. So it's a rough guess. There shouldn't be much difference. It's possible. After thinking about it for a while, Lagusa felt very right. Maybe it really might be a battle of girls. Does that mean it has nothing to do with him today? There is no suspense in the first battle. Although Raventail is a new guild, it has shown great strength in the competitive part. Even Toby, who successfully defeated the Scales of Snake Princess in the battle, got 10 points again. Chabati outside announced the results of the first race. Then came the second battle. So to get our minds back together, it's the second game of the day. It's Bacchus from Quattro Cerberus. It's against Elfman from Team Fairytale. Battle information is displayed. The guild's face suddenly looked a little ugly. Elfman. How could it be him? Wouldn't it be more exciting to replace it with Natsu or Erza? How can we be so unlucky? Their mood was up and down, and when it was time to fight back, Elfman and Bacchus were actually pitted against each other. This battle is likely to be more fortunate and less fortunate. Team B. Why choose Elfman? He can't beat that Bacchus, Mirajane worried. Lagsa sighed. It seems that it is more difficult for Team A to rise. He can't. Gajeel also said. Several people felt that Elfman could not be Bacchus' opponent at all, and they all worried about the A team. After all, the current score of the A team is too small. Uncertain. At this time Dieter shook his head, looked at the two players who appeared and said to several people, Elfman's strength is indeed inferior, but he is a tank with thick blood, and his defense is strong as long as he can withstand the attack of Bacchus. Just fine. Plus the guy's head injury is obviously serious, which is more beneficial to us. Lagusa nodded. That's right, thanks to that Bacchus was injured, otherwise it really wouldn't necessarily win. Thank you, me. My stupid brother, I have worked hard for you to win brother-in-law. Although I didn't expect Bacchus to still be able to compete, he will definitely not be too strong now. Watching Elfman appear, Dieter muttered in his heart. He really didn't expect Bacchus to play after being injured. If he had known, he would have attacked harder last night. In the field. I said, let's bet something like those two just now, Bacchus said. He stretched out his hand to cover his head and said, your elder sister and younger sister are all beautiful women. If I win, I will lend them to me for one night. Two people together. I must make the guy who hit me regret it. With blue veins on Elfman's face, he said angrily, as a man, I will never forgive you and break you. Wow, ha ha ha. Bacchus laughed loudly. That means the bet is established, right? Then I'll accept your bet, and I'll let that guy know and beat me to the end. Elfman rushed up and started to attack. You may not know how terrible Brother Dieter is, he will swallow you raw. Pung, there was a fierce battle on the scene. Team B is here. Dieter folded his hands in front of him, bowed his head and said nothing. Dieter, don't you watch the game? Mirajane called. Dieter raised his head, put on a smile and shook his head. I still believe Elfman will win. Even if he gets a little injured, he will still win, it's just me. I want to kill. After speaking, he turned around and did not know where he was going. What's wrong with him? Mirajane doesn't understand. Gajeel looked at the speech of Dieter who had gone away. Our Dragon Slayer's hearing is better. I heard that Bacchus say the bet, sisters. Dieter's hearing is better, so he should be listening more carefully. Both Lagosas and Jelil looked at Gajeel. Mirajane browsed blankly. Is it really good to say it? Lagosas murmured softly, apparently being a Dragon Slayer who also heard the exchange on stage. But it's kind of bad to say it, on the battlefield. Elfman was beaten with no power to fight back, and no matter how hard he tried, he failed to cause any injury to his opponent. The battle continues. The spectators around were also horrified. Neither the A team nor the B team can bear it. Mainly because Elfman was beaten too badly, and Elfman uses Receive Magic Lizardman, and uses the spikes on his body to defensively knock Bacchus down. Add 10 points to the Fairytale team, the third and fourth. Dieter never came back and didn't see anyone until the end of the game. Place to rest. Mirajane dragged Erza to repeat the story. I'm a little worried about Dieter, Mila said. Erza is also aware of the dangers of this matter, stating the facts. Dieter, he can do it. Instead of worrying about whether Dieter will kill, it is better to worry about whether he will be found, and our guild may be disqualified from the competition when it is reported to the kingdom. Erza added. Mirajane. Really, what nonsense is that Bacchus talking about? Both women were in trouble. I don't want Dieter to kill someone for this trivial matter, and I don't want him to take advantage of it. The dim lights of the city sit in the streets. Bacchus, who lost the game, sat on the edge of the river drinking and drinking. Now the guild has changed its name to Four Puppies. The whole guild is full of resentment. Stab, stab, streetlights were affected for unknown reasons. From a distance, a figure dragged in bright red was reflected, and Bacchus looked over in puzzlement. He was stunned when he saw the man. Drink. Drink now. Yo. Dieter slowly placed a large vat of wine in front of Bacchus. What are you doing? Bacchus said. Dieter patted the wine in the vat and said, isn't your strongest posture showing after drinking? I'll give you a chance. You're sick with this guy. Bacchus was angry. Dieter grinned. Drink, let's make a bet after drinking, as long as you beat me, then you can live, but if you can't beat me, then you will die here today. Damn. Bacchus suddenly rang out what the guy said after his failed fight with Elfman. Hope the stakes aren't heard by Brother Dieter or die. It wasn't to scare people. This guy actually heard and wanted to kill here. Do you think I'm big? Bacchus immediately shot and hit Dieter, wanting to strike first. What? Dieter sneered and kicked Bacchus on top of him. Gaw-paw. Bacchus only felt that there was a huge force coming, and his body was instantly thrown out, smashing on the ground and rolling down, smashing the stone bricks on the ground into potholes. With your rubbish strength, how dare you take my woman as a bet? Dieter's voice came from behind Bacchus. The latter was just about to fight back when a fist surrounded by a white halo swept over. Hum. Cough cough. Bacchus coughed up blood. That force entered his body and tore his internal organs. The skin feels that it has reached its limit, and it may be torn apart by that force at any time. Gaw. Bang bang bang. Bacchus' body was knocked out again, smashing the surrounding walls. Don't you like to be obscure? Then as a price, I will tear your body into pieces and let you live to your last breath. In the process, you will see your arms, legs, and liver being shattered into pieces. And you will regret what you said, cry, die in despair. Hum. Space shatter. The bricks on the ground shattered and rolled over towards Bacchus. Cough cough. Bacchus immediately dodged away, staring at Unique with cold hands and feet. As for what, I'm just joking, he is angry. He was really hurt by that punch, and he didn't even have to think about it to know that his body must be full of scars now. Don't dare to say anything cruel. I regret it now. Dieter. Dieter was about to speak when he heard Mirajane and Erza's shouts, and fell silent. You should be glad you survived. Dieter muttered and disappeared. Then Bacchus was relieved when he saw that he had left, and touched his face. In addition to the blood flowing from his nose and mouth, there was also a lot of cold sweat. Hands and feet are also warm. It's really dangerous. How can there be such a monster in this fairy tale? Bacchus lie down. He needed a good rest and would go back, and he also decided that he would never bet again. Day 3. The live report announced, the great demon fighting martial arts has entered the middle stage, and the third day of the competition is finally ushered in. Our guest today is Mr. Rahal of the Magic Council. Mr. Rahal is the brigade leader of the Forced Supervision Unit. Rahal said hello and said, yes, so I will not allow injustice in the game. Chabati said, on the third day, the competition in the competitive part is the Temple of Demons, and each guild will send one person to participate. Team B. I heard that Natsu broke into the Swordbite Tiger Guild to fight last night. Lagosas asked. Gajil said, why didn't damn it take me there? I also want to fight those two guys. Yes. It seems that because of a girl, Allah, Natsu has also grown up. Mirajane replied with a smile. And after hearing the announcement of the start of the game, several people also plan to discuss who will play. Dieter, who was sitting in the corner, opened his eyes and said, go Lagosas, if there are no accidents, just leave the next few games to me and Lagosas, and you can just watch the show. Mirajane and the others all looked at the Unique a bit unexpectedly, and they didn't seem to expect him to say such a thing. But no one asked. Good. Of course Lagosas had no objection, got up and walked outside. In the field, the personnel selected by each team are ready. Mr. Pumpkin appeared in time and said, sorry, I had a holiday yesterday, so now I'll explain the rules of the game in the Temple of Demons, Pumpkin. Rumble One, a behemoth, rose behind Mr. Pumpkin. The palace stood tall behind him, and just looking at him gave people a feeling of powerlessness. This is the temple where evil monsters live, said Pumpkin King. At this time, Biela asked curiously, where does the monster live? Pumpkin John immediately explained, it's just set like this, Pumpkin. There are 100 monsters in this temple, but those monsters are actually created by us with magic. They will not attack the audience, please rest assured. The combat power of monsters is divided into 5 levels, D, C, B, A, and S. The specific quantity distribution is 1 head of S grade, 4 heads of A grade, 15 heads of B grade, 30 heads of C grade, and 50 heads of D grade. By the way, let's see how strong the D-rank monsters are. The picture in the air turned. A giant steel monster appeared, and it roared and attacked the surrounding buildings unscrupulously. In the end, the giant statue was torn to shreds with a single leap. Mr. Pumpkin continued. There are 100 monsters as strong as this or stronger than this wandering in the demon temple, Pumpkin. Every time the level increases, the combat power of the monsters will be doubled. Even S-rank monsters may not be able to defeat even the 10 great demons, Pumpkin. After hearing these words, everyone was a little nervous. At the same time, I'm also very curious and don't know how to play the game next. Is it necessary to go in and defeat all the monsters inside? Pumpkin-kun explained. You choose the number of monsters you want to fight in turn, which is called the right to challenge. If you choose 3 monsters, there will be 3 monsters in the temple. If the player successfully defeats 3 monsters, the player will get 3 points. And the next player chooses the right to challenge from the remaining 97 heads. Repeat this until the number of monsters is 0, or when your mana is exhausted, the competitive game is over. After hearing Mr. Pumpkin's explanation, everyone was constantly combing. It's like a counting game, Miliana said. Pumpkin John affirmed. That's right, so every time it's your turn, it becomes crucial to judge the number you choose. But as I said earlier, monsters are graded. No matter how many players choose, the monsters that appear at the end are randomly assigned. So we need to devise a strategy not to run into S-rank monsters, Lagosas said. Or it's impossible to develop such a strategy at all. You are wrong. As long as probability theory and my ancient documents are there, some strategies can still be formulated. Mr. Pumpkin continued. The score you get has nothing to do with the monster's level, it only depends on the number of monsters you have defeated. Once inside the temple, you cannot exit unless the challenge is successful. Okay. Now please come over and draw lots. A lottery box came out. Several members were drawn quickly, and Erza looked at the number 1 lottery in his hand. You're lucky. The number 1 will have more turns, and I've drawn the number 8, Lagosas said. Erza took a breath when he heard it. He said to himself, I thought the outcome of this game was all about luck. Mr. Pumpkin was puzzled. The lottery? No, it's not just the lottery. In this game, the control of the rhythm and the ability to judge the situation are more important than the order of the battle. Erza, however, laughed. She stepped forward and looked at the demon palace in front of her. Announcing his challenge rights. No, it's not a competition anymore. I'll deal with 100 monsters. My challenge right is 100. Shock. Several other players were stunned. Staring at Erza with wide eyes seemed to doubt his hearing. And Mr. Pumpkin also persuaded. It is impossible to win. We have never set one person to destroy all monsters. Erza walked towards the Devil's Hall. It's okay. Laughed. Lagosas smiled and shook his head, but he didn't expect this. But if Dieter were to play, he would be the first, and he would definitely make that choice. After all, wanting to get full marks is indeed an annihilation. It seems that it is impossible for Team B to get 10 points, but I don't know how the follow-up games will be arranged, Lagosas said. Team B. Allah, really fits Erza's style, Mirajane said. Gajeel complained. Isn't this really scary? Is it really good to deal with all monsters alone? Juvia felt like he could be number 1 with, Juvia said. Dieter yawned. I went up and announced that I was going to deal with 51 heads, and I lost my momentum all of a sudden. Erza, the Goblin Queen, would not do that. 100 heads were directly dealt with without giving any other opportunities. That's good, Dieter said. Everyone looked at each other and smiled. This day. Even though it was covered in bruises and wounds, the fairy who was about to fall was still dancing. The Fairy Queen is here. She is like a crimson flower that is in full bloom. Defeat all monsters with one enemy. Tell everyone with strength. This is the true strength of the strongest guild 7 years ago. Live report Chabady's heart-wrenching cry. Fairy Tale's Erza Scarlet won a landslide victory. It's a big win without a doubt. Cheers. The audience enjoyed it so much. Shout out to the bruised Erza on stage. Amazing. Who is she? She is Fairy Tale's strongest female wizard, Erza Scarlet. The Fairy Queen. Erza. The deafening cheers never stop. Natsu and others also rushed towards Erza happily, caring for her enthusiastically.